Straight Riffin is filmed in front of a live internet audience.
I am riffing. Mitch is riffing. What more can I say? Straight riffing.
Do you know how fucking desperate I am for some comfort in my life? I need that pillow.
This show is intended for mature audiences only.
I've seen a lot of dicks.
I don't know how much more disgusting this experience could get.
Are you really not having a good time?
I'm having a fantastic time. I just can't believe how disgusting you are.
I kept yelling, I'm not going to whip my dick out. We talked about that. I'm not going to do that.
Featuring your host, Mitch Marzoni.
I don't walk around going like, hey, I'm really weird. Look at me, I'm weird. As far as I'm concerned, I'm perfectly normal. It's a litmus test for freaky.
And Teddy Tutson.
I'm a hate mercenary. Yeah.
All right. Hate mercenary.
Hater for hire. Hater for hire. I should put on good disguise.
There are two victimless crimes, all right? One, jerking off when your window's open. Two, necrophilia.
I'm confessing to a large-scale crime.
Okay, all right.
Now.
Legs akimbo, engaged in sexual discourse.
Come on, man. What kind of guest are you?
It's archived for posterity.
Great internet.
So it'll come back to haunt you every day.
It's time to riff.
Oh, that is right, bitches and motherfuckers. It is January 21st, 2013. Feels good to say it every time I say it. This is episode 95 of Straight Riffin'. I am your host, Reverend Mitch, and it's time to riff the fuck on. With me, as always, is the difficult brown, the hater for hire, Mr. Teddy TMI Tutson. How in the fuck are you, sir?
I'm feeling good, Mitch. I'm feeling real triumphant right now.
Yeah.
I got Harriet Tubman giving high fives to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King on a great birthday celebration right now. Frederick Douglass is running laps. It's a good day to be alive. Shout out, son.
Yeah.
Shout out, we did it, baby.
Yeah, coming out strong. Yeah. Yeah. I actually knew what you were talking about.
Hey!
That's good.
Yeah.
And our guest this evening, Miss Katie Page. How the fuck are you?
Oh, wow. That is really fancy.
Yeah, did you feel good? Feel like coming out to an arena?
Your voices sound so smooth through this thing. Does mine sound as smooth, or is it like
Yeah,
horribly nasal?
Do you want me to turn up your headphones? Do you feel like
No,
good?
no, I'm
Do you feel like
that's
you don't? Is it? You know what it is? We've been doing this. Well, let's see. Teddy's done. This is probably his 90th episode.
Yeah.
And I've done this 95, and then I had things before this and blah blah blah. So
Yeah, you have like radio voices.
well,
And I have like annoying, like I
you
heard
do
this
it
on
enough
an
times,
answering
and you
machine
go like,
once.
I know what this sounds like. So you kind of, as the time goes on, like towards the end of the 2 hours.
Okay, Mitch, here's the thing.
We don't sound
okay,
like this.
Have you, like, here's that
Right.
thing where, like, someone says, like, in a really uncomfortable setting, we're like, oh, you've got, like, a nice voice or whatever. And you're like, I am at work right now. Please don't do this to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really awkward, when, like, people start wanting you to read things. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but I don't really. I mean, I guess it's different if. I don't know if it's an attractive woman. It's like different. Like if they're like, you have a really cool voice. I love
You
your
don't care
voice.
about people.
Oh my god, I love your voice. Then you're like, listen.
Well, there's a whole thing
talk
of like
about this,
all these assistants.
fine.
I worked like for as an assistant to agents or entertainment lawyers or whatever, and there's this whole thing of all the assistants. Like you get a crush on somebody just from talking to them every day because your bosses always talk.
Right,
So it's
right.
like the two
Stockholm
assistants.
syndrome. Yeah.
Yes, the two assistants begin to like really get into each other, and they're like, "Oh, like I talked to John this morning," but they've never seen each other's faces. Sometimes
Huh,
That makes
okay.
I can understand that though.
Like, you get, like, a
remote
li-
It's like
assistance.
you do a
such
little
a-
phone flirting with
Right,
these guys.
yeah. You
You're
have
like,
so much interaction with them, and
so
there's
much.
and
Yeah.
you have a common hatred of your boss.
Yeah,
of
that's
the exact same boss, no less.
exactly. It's very similar in that way. Like, hey, I have Joe for Sam. Okay, hold on.
It's kind of how I feel like some of those office husband and office wife things end up developing. Which you're giving me really quizzical looks right now.
I don't know if
like
you
you're
mean
not
literal
familiar.
or
My
is it
sister
No, I'm
has an
talking
office
about
husband.
I'm talking about the more metaphorical office husband. Like
okay.
it's
Then
just,
I don't think I know about this. Please,
I'll
tell
let
me.
Katie.
Katie.
Yeah, my sister has an office husband. It's the
Okay.
guy she spends all of her
Does she have
time
a
with
real
him.
husband as well?
No, she doesn't. But he has a
Okay.
real wife.
Usually, though, who like at least one person in an office husband wife thing
Right,
has
it's
to have a
actually-
real
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then like like you spend so much time with them. That's
They're
your-
already
no,
domesticated.
you're just
yeah.
having sex with
Right,
them in that sense.
Yeah.
In that case, you're probably sleeping with them.
There are lines. There are
Okay.
lines that I've researched here.
Okay.
There
So
are
it's
degrees.
just that you spend a lot of time.
It
at,
generally
you know,
leads
like
to a
your
lot of
buddies.
cases.
Right,
In a
right.
lot of cases, I mean, people who get suspicious of office husband wives are right because
All
you
right.
know.
The last time I worked
But-
in an office, I there was a
a
girl.
weird term.
There was a girl there who, when she showed up to like be interviewed, she recognized me, and was like, "You're really funny," just out of nowhere like that. And I was like, "I haven't even said a word." And I was like, "Thanks." She goes, "No, I don't mean like you
Looking?
looking. I just." She's like, "I've seen you perform comedy," and she
Was it
named a few
Katie?
clubs.
Was it Katie?
Right.
Yeah, I said that.
I didn't want to out her, you know.
I was
So
so,
she-
awkward when I came in here. I was like, that is the guy. I told him he was funny looking, and now I feel like a dick. Because
You
I
always
go
gotta-
around
it's
doing
karma,
that.
damn you, yeah.
I go around doing that, just telling people flat
Yeah.
out what I think they look like.
I would
good.
imagine.
It's
That's a
good.
good way to build relationships.
You know, you're
in this
kind of
town.
trollish, guy on the corner.
I
Hope
like-
I don't run into you again.
I'd like to buy you a slice of pizza now.
So yeah, so she said that. She said she'd seen my act a few times, and I was like, that's interesting. So my impression immediately was like, okay, so this girl likes fucking dick jokes. Like she likes filthy comedy. So I was like, I could get along with this broad. Not like we're gonna bang it out. 'Cause
great.
I don't do that at
Great
the
to
office.
hear the self-assessment.
But
in
I
real
just
time.
mean like I was like, okay, so she's got a sense of humor. I could probably tell a dick joke or two, and I won't get sued or whatever. Anyway, so we would like
She
for
saw
the-
my act and she liked it, and so I knew she liked dick jokes.
yeah.
That's good.
Because I'm a filthy comic.
You have to have the
So
same
if somebody says like, "Hey, I liked your act," to me, they've heard me tell a dick joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if
it's very different if someone said that to me.
yeah, then it's like,
Then I
oh,
would-
you're down with the revolution or whatever. I mean, I don't know what you think. You're like, you're ready to storm, and they're like, no,
What's
no,
the-
I just
what's
I
the
thought
passcode?
I thought that truck joke was pretty
I
funny.
thought you were really
know, or whatever.
passionate and stuff.
Yeah. I
Come
like
with me into the
funny
secret
black
alleyway.
people.
Is
I
that what
don't
you're
know.
talking about, the revolution these days?
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment. I
What
would
do you
say.
mean these days? I had it in my head that Teddy's been doing that since he was 9.
I used to talk about some other benign things back in the day. Not
I
necessarily.
had this impression of you like in elementary school, and people are trading lunches, and you standing on a lunch table going, "This is not the time to be trading lunches. We got to band together the lunches and attack."
I actually
And they're
did,
like, oh,
in a way,
Teddy,
do something like that. I think I mentioned before, is Texas, so they had at
Let me
like
tell you about the real math class.
we had like each table, right? Like each table for each class had tickets that you got at lunch. So you start off with 5 tickets, and then like at the end of each month and at the end of like each semester or whatever, you could like get things, whatever class had the most tickets. But then these like mean ass bitches just patrolled the lunchroom openly, being like, "I need more tickets."
Oh, and they'd take them if you did
If you,
something bad.
yeah, if you talked, right?
That
If
was
you
like
had
some
too much
Gryffindor
fun.
shit.
Yeah, if you had too much fun, son. So like your whole and then like and if you came back to class with no tickets, your teacher would be like, "The fuck is wrong with y'all?" And then you wouldn't get any recess, dude. You get extra homework and shit, right? So I was like,
like
"Yo,
the fucked up
so like by the
schooling,
time
man.
we was in 5th grade, I was like, "Yo, we can't just be having these bitches be taking our freedom, son. We gonna fuck up and like never ever have any recess again. We gotta do something." So we started plotting open rebellion against these bitches with tickets, son.
Wait. Let me ask you something. Did you ever see that Anthony Hopkins movie?
Lunchroom ticket scandal? Yes.
That's the one. No, it was about
he was so moving in that performance. It was subtle and it was
he
it
was
was
like
quiet.
what an instinct with the where he had attacked some guys in the jungle who were trying to kill gorillas.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Right, and there's a scene where he's there's a whole bunch of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in there.
I do recall that.
And in the
Cuba.
the jail scenes, Cuba Gooding's in there, and he's a psychiatrist kind of researcher kind of deal, and they have this thing where they have a deck of cards, and everybody takes out a card, and whoever has the ace, I think it's Ace of Hearts or whatever, gets to stand in this little 10 by 10 cement cell that has a view of the sun. And so what ends up happening is like the biggest dude just runs around going, "Give me that ace! Give me that ace!" and just beats the shit out of anybody who doesn't give him that ace. And so Cuba Gooding Jr. comes in and he's like, "We're not doing the cards anymore. We're not doing the cards." So I was just thinking, like, if you in 5th grade which I guess
He
would
was
not
Cuba
have
Gooding
been.
Jr.
Yeah, if you would have, if that would have been
Oh, I thought it was a
1999.
dude that was like, "Give me that ace."
No,
I
no,
thought that was
no.
me.
no. The
He's
girls were
Oh,
those
okay.
the bitches with the tickets
wondering where this
were
was
giving
going.
me that ace kind of
you,
thing.
if you were
so.
Cuba, if you were Cuba Gooding
Cuba
Jr.
Gooding,
Yeah, if you were Cuba Gooding Jr. in 5th grade, then you would. Well, by now you'd be done. You'd be
Yeah.
yeah,
career would
yeah.
be over.
I was just thinking if
I'm
that
a
movie
slow-
was
I'm a
around
slow
back
burn.
then,
I'm
you
an
could
alternate
have
dimension. Cuba
you could have
Gooding
you
Jr.
could have
There you
presented
go.
that film to the school board and been like, you guys got to watch this because what you do
Yeah.
is just like what they're doing in jail cells for people who kill gorillas.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Whatever.
I mean, your elementary school portrait of me, though, is very accurate. My
Okay.
my elementary school crush started a strike against our
Harriet
Spanish
Tubman?
teacher. Yes, it was Harriet Tubman. Yes, it was. So. You are correct, sir. You are correct. No, so I've always been very drawn to combative, feisty women. Because I was like, who is this girl shutting down Spanish class for everybody? I'm in. By that point, I had been madly in love with her for years, though, so I wasn't surprised like everybody else. So.
Did you moved on in 6th grade to Maya Angelou and then
Yeah,
just-
but no, by
all right,
6th
all
grade, Harriet Tubman started writing me back. So
Right, right,
I
so
was
you were
ready
like-
to move on to a more mature, old
right,
spirit
right,
relationship.
right. Write me some poems, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
traded poetry.
traded various Negro spirituals and such.
So do you still go after these women that are like shaking up the system?
I've always, anyone that I've had any kind of relationship with, that's like they've always been some sort of combative, feisty, passionate individuals.
What
and
you're
I feel
saying is you like to be hit.
I'm like, if she don't punch me in the eye, it's not love.
Right?
You know
no,
what
I
I'm
get you.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
She doesn't
Once
mean
again, back to Stockholm syndrome.
She
Again.
doesn't mean it when she does it. She
Twice
just
in 5
loves you
minutes.
so much.
you don't know her like I know her, Katie. Okay.
I see a different side of her.
I don't know, man. You know what it is? Like, I feel like it's partially because like I had such a strong female influence as my mom. Like, she was a fucking. She was a black woman in Texas trying to be a doctor in the 80s, and they literally were just like, it'll be a nice story to tell your kid. That's what the woman in charge of med school was telling her at the time. You're like, you're not gonna fucking
that
make
you
it.
tried.
Yeah, right. And so like and then at graduation, she tried to come up to her and was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." My mom was like, "Get out of face, bitch." So like,
Before,
I like even after
before
she
the
gets a
system-
degree, even after she has a degree to be a doctor, she's still like, "Get out of my face, bitch."
my mom was very feisty like
She doesn't
that.
have like a
Right.
more
Yeah.
technical term.
No. She's uppity bitch.
So her idea was that your mom would be like, before the system beat me down, here's what I did.
right.
Here's what I was attempting to do.
Right, yeah,
Before
like, you know,
every door shut.
and
in my
you'll
face.
be the next one.
Right.
And so, but I was like, like my mom was just like, she was very strong in many facets. I remember her favorite thing to do every time we went to like a county fair was to do the fucking
beat up larger black dudes.
exactly, and then just take teddy bears from various vendors like it's mine.
I got a son named Teddy.
She did.
I don't know why she talks like that.
She
but-
did the hammer games, like the test of strength ones,
All
and
right.
she would just like fucking.
You
John
realize that
Henry
still
style.
drives me nuts, even though it's still correct. But
What?
go ahead.
What?
No, nothing.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Go
Strength
ahead.
game? Strength? Oh, strength. Yeah.
Strength.
It's strength. Yeah, strength. Okay, strength.
I can't give him any shit about
she
that
would just
anymore.
knock
but
it,
that's okay.
just like the very first time, she just fucking just boom, sledgehammered it just all the way up, and like everyone was just in awe, and then she just started giggling, and I was like, this is really weird to observe right now. Like everyone around was like, holy shit, she could beat the shit out of us.
Would
And
it
she's just
would
like,
it ruin?
Well, if
would
you were
it
gonna grow up
ruin
in
your
Texas,
life?
then you needed to have that around.
Yeah, exactly.
Would it ruin your life if I told you why that happened?
What?
Why the hammer and why it would hit? and
Oh,
people
don't
would be
ruin his
amazed? Okay, I
life.
won't. I won't.
Don't you dare.
I won't ruin your
Don't
life.
you dare.
All right. Okay. I won't
Because I
let-
also saw her break a man's neck, Bane style,
for
once,
looking at it funny.
outside of an Albertsons.
Using only 3 fingers.
All right.
as a
First,
challenge
I will
to
go to
herself.
the front of the bus. Then I will break you. I got
Oh,
it.
that was a
I got it.
really good, right? That sounded.
That was the shittiest Bane impression. I could do a relatively good one, but I had to get the joke out quick
You gotta
on
let
that.
him. You gotta let him get a little bit more in his.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get the mask on fast enough.
No.
You have to be doing all the screws.
If I did like this, then yeah, that would be a
Ooh.
little bit more.
I mean, you're Wisconsin, right?
You feel
I'm actually
in
from
charge?
Chicago, but I
from
went to
Chicago.
school in Wisconsin.
Okay, that's right. And it was. There's something in there.
School in
Chi-town.
Wisconsin.
But I feel like I didn't really get the I didn't have the Wisconsin experience. I had the University of Wisconsin in Madison experience, which was like really nice and cozy and liberal and progressive and lovely for me.
Did you do the?
Is the rest of Wisconsin the polar opposite of that?
Yeah,
Wisconsin's like the most
Very-
polarized state in
Yeah.
the country right now. It's
like
bad.
Milwaukee holds the biggest Republican rallies of any state.
Good old Scott Walker.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
It's the thing. The Madison though. Like, did you ever go to the Halloween celebration where they like just like things are just burning or whatever?
Yes, it was.
I've always heard it's like the most insane. There was always like some sort of pilgrimage, kind of like when I was in school in Indiana at the time. Like, oh, we might go to Madison or whatever. And I was always like, I don't really know if I want to go out of my way to chaos. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I mean it came to us though. We couldn't avoid it. You actually, I mean, they had SWAT teams. We had SWAT teams at our Halloween, and by my senior year, they started doing this thing where they shut down the main street where there used to be something like 200,000 people would gather on this long main street.
There's that many people available to get there.
And like riot and shit. Like they would throw like trash cans through store windows, and I'm like, really? You just went there on Thursday and had a cookie, you asshole? Like, you know, everyone was like trying to be so tough, and then all these other people from other schools would come, and they would really fuck shit up.
Tired of the tyranny of cookies.
Yeah, they would really fuck stuff up, and so they started instituting this thing where they made it like you had to buy a ticket to get onto the street, and they blocked off every possible way to get onto that street.
What happens when people don't appreciate
Wisconsin, take control of your Halloween.
But I mean, you could not avoid getting tear gas. Like every single
So
person.
if you decided to go, like you're just like, I just want to kind of casually see what's going on,
you were
would
gonna get tear gas.
just get,
Yeah.
which I feel like is what happens anytime that you've got like that's kind of that whole mob like effect.
that
is
happened. That happened to me in Seattle during the WTO riots. And
You just went down to see what was up.
No, I went down to pick up my friend's
he's like,
mom.
no, I was riding.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then you have no excuse.
I punched a cop through his riot.
I was.
And it was the
my
weirdest
friend's
thing, I
mom
got
worked down there,
pepper
so I
spray.
went to go pick it up. I went to go pick her up rather, and she was like, they're shutting everything down, so I got to leave, and somebody's got to pick me up, and I was like the only one in the house that wasn't drunk, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll go. So I went to drive down and pick her up.
The
and I was
guy
like,
got drunk
oh.
whose mom was coming to visit?
No, she lived with us. It was a giant commune kind of.
Where were you at this time?
It's
Yeah.
getting better.
No, I'm not
You
talking
mean in
about
my
I'm
head?
not
Where were you in your mind?
On your emotional journey, where were you?
The very beginning, I was barely in it. I was like 20 years old, and I don't know. That's a long. We had to spend a whole episode on that. This is not what the story's about. My point is, I was trying to relate to you because I went downtown in the middle of the WTO riots of 1999 to pick up my friend's mom, and I couldn't find my damn shoes, and they were like, "Here, just wear these." So I went down in Birkenstocks.
Oh, poor choice.
Right. That were like a little bit too big for me. So I'm like curling my toes, and I'm literally just picking a bitch up, and fucking tear gas everywhere, and rubber bullets whizzing by, and I'm like, look, man, I ain't even a part of this. You have your revolution
You were
on
dressed
another
the part,
day.
though. You were dressed the part.
Bro.
Yeah, Birkenstocks. I tell you, they'll fuck you up. But
That's the wrong place to have Birkenstocks on, man.
yeah,
But
it
you
was-
would
it was
think
rough-
like
it was a rough day.
you would think
so
you
I
would-
can sort of
You had gotten out of it, and then it would be on your hands or something, and later you'd like rub your eye. It'd be like,
That's
the
worst.
burning.
That's the worst part about pepper spray, and it's so tough. I feel like to really understand it until you see someone just get doused with it and then have no way.
I watched a guy outside of Fry's one time rip his pants open and shit on the sidewalk because he got hit with pepper spray.
What?
Yeah.
That was his like. That was
That
his
was
gut
his
reaction.
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
I mean,
this
that's what
thing
his
is
gut
sensitive.
did.
Wait. Oh, God.
All right,
that's
I was
terrible.
coming out of a Fry's, and I
Yes,
heard a
wait.
scuffle, like a guy had stolen something, clearly. And like a couple security guards like tackled him. And he's like, Bob fucking, and they were like, found it, and they pulled out something or other. And then he was fucking just punching and shit like that. And somebody said, gas him. And I heard a ch. And the next thing I knew, this guy was just like, oh, damn. And he ripped the back of his pants open and just shit came out everywhere. And I was
All
just
right.
like,
Horrible.
wow.
Look,
and I was like,
that's not like a documented response. I feel like to pepper spray. So I feel like that
well,
guy just
may-
had to shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's a
But
really
it just
good
was
excuse,
like,
though.
it was, you'd think to yourself, like, don't let me
Meanwhile, he had
for the kids
stolen
at home.
like an anti-diarrhea.
Let me give a quick public service announcement here for the
I
kids
just
at
needed
home.
some Pepsi.
If
Yeah.
you're gonna steal, don't do it when you really need to shit.
That is the worst.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Hit the restroom on the way in.
the pepper
Right,
spray
exactly.
Thing, though,
Which is a better place to be because you can hide your merchandise. that
man,
you're
I feel
trying
like
to
there's a
steal.
lot of details we don't know about that.
I'm just saying that's what
we
happened,
really
and I
need to
remember
know.
thinking to myself, "Wow, I don't want to be." I hope I never get pepper sprayed so hard that I shit myself.
But see, I can understand
After
how
my
might that
pants
possibly
open.
happen though, because
Well,
this-
when I was in high school, when I was in high school, somebody broke open a can of pepper spray as classes were letting out. So I walked into a cloud of it once. I did not shit myself, but it was an indirect.
Thank God. Can you imagine the
Stronger than
entire
most.
like senior class
just
like
shitting, just
God.
like
that'd be
oh,
the worst. That would be.
that'd be in the yearbook.
I would
The
love if
day
there
the
was
seniors shit.
a pepper spray that hit the streets. though, to
everyone's
cause
like
people
you
to
get
shit.
nostalgic someday and you go back in your yearbook like, oh, do you remember the day we all shit ourselves in the middle of
Pepper spray bomb.
I do-
second period?
I do feel like that would. I feel like that would be really character building, though. If like 100 high school students all at once shit themselves.
That was like some war story.
and
shit,
no one
so.
like escaped it. So
Yeah.
like the
Yeah,
nerds,
right.
everybody
because
did it.
nobody,
They
because
would-
you couldn't talk shit. You would
could build
just
a
be
new
like,
world from there.
you'd be like, you know, I didn't mean.
or
I
it's
was-
all
I
you
was
could
like,
talk about.
I was literally going like, oh fuck, pun unintentional.
It was
there.
just like universal.
Yeah, you couldn't
embarrassment.
because you would just be like, "You shit yourself." So did you? Yeah, but you shit hard. Like, what would
Yeah.
you do? So I feel like that would
You'd
be
find
really
a way, bro.
character
Yeah, I think
building
so. You'd
find a way,
because
and it would be
everybody
graphic.
would. You'd
There would
see
be a way.
You'd see 100
Terrible, terrible
people
way.
figuring out their reaction to how to deal with shitting yourself. But
Like,
then
I
they'd
could
all
already
be like,
see.
"Ha ha!" Isn't it? We'll all look back on this and laugh, you know. And
It's gonna be
I
a
just don't
real
think
hard
that's
one.
how that would end.
Yeah, I don't know if it would.
I
The
don't
thing
know,
about
I
pepper
don't know.
spray, is,
I would continue laughing about it to this day if that really happened. But
It's
you know,
funny though. If it's
I'm
funny
really glad that didn't.
to
I'm sorry.
watch people get pepper sprayed, knowing that there's no way that it can happen.
that
to
they're
you.
not going to shit themselves.
Yeah, well, that's also a really big factor. But I remember like
gonna
Now
find
I'm
out.
freaking out
Hold
about
on.
it. This is like when somebody told
Pepper
me that you
spray.
could pee while you orgasmed, and I was like, I never want to know if that's a thing.
no, you can't.
Yes, you can. There are women who pee at the same time as orgasm.
You're
You
not
sure you're not talking about
squirting.
squirting, right?
You're not talking about
No,
squirting.
no, I'm talking about actual urine.
Okay. Well, now to
And
be
finding
fair,
that out, it's like, oh my god,
I don't think it's while they're having an orgasm. It might be while they're having sex, sure, but your body sort of
It can't.
no, but we don't.
your
have,
your body intentionally like shuts because I've had to
Wait,
pee
you
before
can't-
and then started like getting it on
pee
and
in-
like I didn't have to pee for like until everything was done.
I'm just saying it can look it up.
So I'm trying to think of like how I look up pepper spray shit yourself
I
without.
don't really think we need to look
I
that
need
up.
to.
bro.
No,
I, need
I
to,
don't wanna
I don't
I
think we
guess
need to
I'll
look
do-
it up. I don't really need to look that up. Bro.
Look, you saw that firsthand. You know, so
Yeah.
that happened.
You are
Alright,
our lookup.
alright.
Yeah.
You are the Google in this
Yeah.
case.
You
You're
need
real
to
life.
Google that. No, just
One
ask
one
me.
of the top links for pepper spray shit yourself is what if I hit myself with pepper spray? And the whole thing is like, here's what would happen.
Oh God.
Someone got mugged on my street outside of my apartment not that long ago. And I had a neighbor that went around telling everybody, you know, like they pulled a knife and they mugged him right here, right in front of the apartment, you know, and you're like, oh my God, really? That happened? And so I started carrying pepper spray when I'd take my dog on a walk, but I have no idea how to use that thing.
It's
There's like an on-off, a safety thing, which is good that it has a safety.
I feel like pepper spray has certainly gotten more evolved since I feel when it was first introduced. Like
No,
now
I'm going to
it's-
shoot myself in the face with it. I'm sure of it. The thing is, I never want to have a weapon. People always talk about these weapons that they want to protect themselves with. I never want to have a weapon that would be used against me. Like, I would never pull a knife out,
Right.
like if somebody came into my house, because I'd be like, someone's going to get this knife from me and stick it straight into my body somewhere. That is like the
You
most
need
terrifying.
throwing stars, by the way.
Yeah,
you need
that's the
something
most-
you can throw and run. Like, get a fucking way, and they're like, ah.
It's this crossbow or bust.
But you know what
Like,
I mean?
my-
So
my
pepper
letter-
spray
my letter
to me
opener
is like
is-
someone is going to kill me.
My
with
letter
this.
opener is this Smith & Wesson balanced for throwing knife here, and
It's not a letter opener, bro.
well, it is
No,
for
that's
me.
just your
That's
knife.
a knife.
Well,
My
but-
knife is a
but-
Smith &
but
Wesson
it's-
knife.
No,
What I'm saying is, as you can see, it's balanced for throwing.
Yeah, but yeah, it's because it's a knife.
So, like, yeah, no, not all knives are balanced for throwing by any means.
No.
It just so happens I bought this one specifically because of that. Because it was a balanced.
Is that
It was a
your-
balanced HRT boot knife,
That's
and I was
your
like, "That's
plan.
what I need." No. I just like the fact.
in case
no,
of attack.
No. My
I'm gonna
plan.
throw
My
this
plan in case
thing
of
I got
attack
one
is.
knife, one shot.
Yeah, you
My
get
plan
one
in case
shot.
of attack is like close all the doors and hope that they pick the wrong one while I call the cops. That's my plan.
Good plan.
It's not much of a plan, but I'm not gonna sit
you
here
have
like I got a knife.
Do you open letters with that though?
Yeah.
You open letters with that knife.
Can you not use your
packages.
fingers? I never understand this. Like, why don't people just tear? I mean,
I'm
I
talking
don't-
about like packages.
Okay.
Not just letters. I'm talking like you get something from
Although
Amazon.
I do have to admit, after I actually finally got to use a really somewhat decent letter opener,
Yeah,
as
it's
a
pretty cool.
Convenient as
It's
shit.
fucking
It does
cool.
cut the
It's
fuck
not
out of your
just- it's
finger if
not
you're
the
just going to do your
convenience.
finger.
It's not the convenience. It's cool as fuck, man. Like especially
Yeah.
if you have one of them cool dagger, like you're just like talking to someone and you're just like, oh,
Just
what's
like-
up?
Christmas
Slides
present for
right
Teddy.
through.
Yeah, it's so
A
smooth.
letter opener.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, these are execution papers.
But if it's not, but if it's not balanced for throwing, then what good is it?
Yeah. Let's go.
But seriously, I do think about.
Okay, you're right. For women, it is possible. For men, it isn't because
Yeah,
Okay,
we have
see.
two
we got
separate
you got two
systems.
different systems. For men, we just got the one, so the bladder's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm gonna hold on to this.
Yeah,
Go ahead, balls, do your thing.
it's like priority. Exactly, the balls always take
But
precedence.
yeah, it is possible. I'm reading from a sexologist or whatever they call them. I don't know, some kind of.
There's an old
doctor.
lady who does a show. She's Canadian, and I can't remember her
Sue
name right now.
Johnson.
Sue Johnson.
Oh, you
Talk
talking about the
sex.
Canadian
Talk sex
oldie
with
broad?
Sue.
The
Yeah.
Canadian
Yeah.
oldie
Shit
broad?
is
I
awkward.
fucking love her.
That shit is so awkward.
She's
yo.
so awesome.
It's so
No, it's
awesome.
not
I
really
wish
like.
I wish that she was like my aunt or my grandmother or something because like she's so like I mean nothing phases her. You could call her and be
don't
like,
even
"All right, listen, I've got 5 horses. I'm not sure which one I should fist first." And she goes,
You
"Here's the
said we
thing
were not going
about."
to talk about horse fucking.
That's why I was going to do it. I was like,
I was
like, I'm
promised.
going to go against it. I'm going to go against that.
This is when the fourth wall
Whatever.
comes down.
She just doesn't. Nothing phases her. She just immediately goes,
really nothing
"Okay,
phases her.
okay." So here's the thing: when you're fisting horses, and you're just
Yeah.
like, nothing phases that
But
woman.
the thing is,
so
I
she's
don't.
amazing.
I don't actually
like
think
her.
it's uncomfortable. I think it's like. I think it is the most lovely way to talk about the most disgusting stuff. And
What is
That's a good description
This-
of Sue Johnson.
Sue Johnson?
Sue
Oh yeah,
Johnson.
absolutely. Yeah. No, she's
Shout out to Sue
Big
Johnson.
fan. Big
it is
fan
the
of Sue Johnson.
it is the opposite of like the women who sell dildos on like the if you've ever seen on like the Home Shopping Network. There's like a dirty hour like late at night. and they
Is
sell-
there really?
Yeah, they sell dildos and
Oh, I have got to
these
get high and
two-
watch that.
They're these two little like really like kind of
Demure,
sweet,
home,
demure.
yeah.
They like there's a little Asian girl. She's got
I'm looking this
glasses.
up.
She
Jesus.
looks like
Are they trying to do like
she looks like she's in college or something.
Can I ask
She's
you
like,
what you doing watching the Home Shopping Network at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever?
just this show? It is
okay.
so
You know about it, and you were like, I need
Yes,
this. Okay,
it is. I
I'm
stumbled,
with you. I do.
stumbled
I want to
across
see
it one
now.
night.
Okay.
I'm sure I was sober. I'm sure of it. And then I was like, I have got to watch.
Sarcastically,
more of
I'm
this.
sure of it too. But anyway, go
I
ahead.
was
Sorry.
like, I have to watch more of this because these women, they sit there and they go, "This one's really nice," and they call it. They don't call them dildos. They call
Pleasure
them something
aids
else.
or something like
Something-
that. Something aids.
Pleasure.
No,
Marital
it's
aids.
dong. They call them dongs.
Oh no, that is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, that
They
was
call
not-
them. They go.
Dong is
they
not
go.
a-
This is an amazing 9-inch dong, and what I really like to do, and they talk about what they've done with them and stuff. But like in
Wow,
this really
wow.
strange, like it's not erotic.
Now, to be fair, dong's like a pervy ass term.
Yeah.
It's so weird, right?
Like a
That's
marital
surreal.
aid would
Wait,
be a little
and
bit
this is
more.
on
No, they call-
Shopping Network?
Yes, it's on the Home Shopping
is
Network at night.
surreal.
I know, right? I'm
It's-
getting high and
And they
watching
talk
that.
about so that you've got basically
But you can. It's called.
dong testimonials on the Home Shopping Network.
Yes, and she talks about how they sell those ones with the
Home
suctions that go
Shopping
against the wall, like, and she's like, I like to
Sex
put this
toys
like in my
hour.
kitchen while I'm cooking. And I'm like, really, you're that fucking bored while you're cooking that you're like, I need to get my pants off right now because it takes too long to cut peppers.
It's
and
the
like
it's the
stick that
romance
shit against the
shopping
wall
network, I think.
Oh my god.
and go to town on it while you're like
Wait.
making curry.
Wait a
Like that
minute.
is so fucking.
Wait, that that seems like it would be. That seems so frivolous. That seems so frivolous. Like you, damn.
It's 30
son.
minutes and it's called something. Like it's not, when you go to like
Yeah.
you go through and it's
Like
QVC.
after dark shopping or something
Yes,
like that.
it's called something so you can see it's coming.
That was a pure speculation on my part, Riffopolis. I have not done the diligent research that Katie has.
Oh, I'm all over this shit.
She's out in the field, hard at work.
Yeah.
On the dong hour.
Apparently,
because I
I don't
had
know.
to
I'm
show
reading that
everybody-
the Oxygen Network has a home shopping hour that's all about that. So I don't know if it's
Oxygen
actually,
also is home to Sue
I don't
Johnson.
know if that's the same thing. I don't-
Maybe. I don't know if it is.
No, I'm a big fan.
I haven't
of,
watched it in a long time, but I used to watch
No, somebody's
it.
got a video.
I remember Sue Johnson used to talk about like
Yeah.
vibrators in the shape of rubber duckies and shit like that. And
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
This
they-
doesn't even sound like it'd be pleasurable.
They're like, it's water. It's not just water resistant. It's waterproof, so you can fully submerge that shit.
Yeah, like that doesn't even sound.
I'm pretty sure they don't say that shit, but I'm with you. I'm
No,
with
Sue
you.
would never swear.
I know.
These
she's-
bitches on the
she's
dong
an
hour,
awesome. Oh yeah, yeah.
You
The
don't
bitches
know
on the
what
dong
kind of
hour.
filthy nonsense.
They're gonna get
Yeah,
all
but
up
they're
in there.
so like.
So they're like really, and they like, and then you know how the shopping network is, where they like they're really just pushing and pushing and pushing everything, and they're like, this is great. This
Yeah,
is
that's exactly
a great
what it is.
as a rapid for a gift for you, loved one or something.
And they're really selling it. And then there's 2 separate lines, like one for men to call and one for women to call. Like I don't know what that's about. Like, is it because men
them.
wouldn't want to call and get a woman on the other line or
Probably.
something?
probably.
So what? They have another dude on the line?
No,
Like,
probably they
hey,
don't want
dude, what
another
do you
dude.
want?
They probably don't
Oh.
want a dude. They probably want to talk to a woman. I mean, if some dude was like, "What's up, bro? Like, what's up? What are you getting?
Yeah.
You want a dong?" And you'd be like,
Yeah,
"No, I don't
it'd
want a
be so weird.
dong. I don't want a dong."
I mean, I don't know. I guess it would have
I
to
got
be.
cucumbers if I need to stick something in my asshole.
No, they have those like flashlights that like you take the top
Flashlight.
off.
Flashlight.
Yeah,
yeah.
flashlight. Yeah,
Oh yeah, flashlights. Okay, thanks guys.
I've heard. I don't.
You're
know.
both like flashlights.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That
To be
was-
fair, we had one
we've
of our.
covered the flashlights.
To be fair, one of our guests has her own line of flashlights. So. you
Oh
know.
really? Like that's
Yeah,
her
yeah.
vagina?
Yeah.
That is so weird. What do
Yeah.
they do? Like pour
That's like-
a mold
that's like
in
a-
her vagina?
Surprisingly, like
I think,
that's
yeah.
her like
I think it's about what
primary mode of income is just people buying rubber
that does not
replicas
surprise
of her
me
pussy.
at all. Actually,
And I'm like, I'm so jealous. I'm like, dude, I'd sell any rubber part of my body if I could live off of just people buying that and wanting to fuck it. I don't. Yeah. I don't
Would
know
you
if I'm
ever?
alone on
Would
that.
you ever do a mold of anything like that? Would you?
no, I don't.
If
want,
it paid
I
you-
wouldn't
let's
want
say it
someone to
paid you-
pour, like some sort of like strange.
Let's say if it paid
substance.
like $70-something thousand a year, and you never had to like sign it or anything. It just so happened that they
But
were
what are
just
the
gonna give you-
criteria? Why would someone pick me? I need. That's what I need to
I mean,
know.
okay, well, that's fair.
Let's say you've like the,
In this case, she was a porn star, so it's pretty
Right?
obvious.
No, I
but
mean,
like,
but I
but-
understand that.
but
It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're fucking Jenna
so
Johnson.
yours, what if just
Jenna
a
Jameson.
boyfriend of yours or something like that was like, I know a guy, and this is a pretty spectacular specimen.
and yours is top notch. And,
Right, and
Yeah.
then they were like,
so-
"We're gonna pay you how much a year?
You know?
$70,000."
Let's just say I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
70,
but-
let's say that
she lives in New York alone in an apartment, so and
Let's say
she
you're
hasn't had a
getting,
job in
you know-
years, so I assume it's got to be pretty good.
Let's say you get.
I'm just
50,000.
guessing.
50,000 a year.
Let's
50,000 a
Let's
year.
say 50,000. Yeah, 50,000 a year.
I don't know. I don't know that I'd want like the interior of my vagina anywhere where someone I know could stumble upon.
What if it didn't have your face on it? What if it was just one of
Oh,
the
if
models?
it was anonymous?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not like. Look, I'll take money for that.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
not like precious
It's just about
about where the fuck my
right.
money
Okay,
is coming
that's fair.
from.
That's fair. So it's just about that you don't want, and that's fair. You don't want somebody to come up down the street and like, I have fucked a
What if
rubber pussy version of you, and
Yeah,
you're like,
what if I have a weird
yeah, I
nephew
need to go.
someday
Right,
who's like,
yeah.
in,
He
and it's
realizes
still on the
later.
shelf. It's in
Yeah,
the
he doesn't-
clearance because
yeah,
it's so
sure,
old now.
sure,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, that
But,
woman's
like,
vagina is
yeah.
probably 70 by now. I don't
So
care.
if it was like someone who
Right,
was
right.
like, "Hey, listen,"
where somebody didn't know
So,
they
like-
were related
so
to
in
you,
this
and they're
case-
like, I've been fucking
in
the
your rubber
contractual-
pussy
Yeah.
for months now.
So
Okay.
we can rule out commercial fleshlight, but if
Right,
someone
right.
who you were intimate with was like, "Hey, what if you just made one of these for me?"
Right, to make a mold, the home mold
So
kit.
like, if I had to go on the business
Right.
trip or whatever,
Ooh, can I
had
confess
that.
something wildly personal?
oh, I don't know.
I had a, I
don't
had
think we
a,
have a
no,
choice
I had an
anymore.
ex that asked when I went out of town. She was like, "You need to, you need to get me one." And I thought to myself, should she buy that for me for my birthday, or do I buy that for her?
See, I think that's
Because
silly
it's
because
weird because I have to make it myself, but it's sort of like
Hold on
I,
now.
would- I my
go ahead.
my ego was like I hate myself too much to be like, hey, for your birthday, I got you my cock. Because it's like that could end terribly, and I would never be able to look in the mirror again if she was like, "Why did you buy a rubber version of your cock?" Even though she had asked me, it was still like, I can't buy that for myself. She's
if
gonna
she had
have to
asked
buy
you,
that.
then she wouldn't have a weird response.
know, but it's
here's
just-
what is
but
weird
go
about
ahead,
it is that
sorry.
she asked you to begin with, because women can just go. I mean, the specifics of your penis, while I'm sure they're
No, that's fine. I
Well,
get it. I get it. I get it.
they. She
You don't
doesn't
need to apologize to me or anything.
She doesn't need like that specific.
I know.
I mean, it's.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's sentimental or
Sure,
something.
sure.
Maybe.
She got used to the various contours of it. Yeah, no, I get it.
Maybe
I get
she
it.
has a weirdness about using strange rubber penises she doesn't know.
Yeah, I know.
But like
And
I never
most of
felt
her
like I
toys-
needed to know the
Most of
dildos
her
I
toys
have.
were like the smooth kind, just regular vibrators and such that were smooth. She didn't so much have like the cyber textured dongs and dildos that, you know what I'm saying?
She wanted a cyber
So
texture
I'm
version.
thinking to myself like, well, all of her toys are smooth. she might think to herself, well, if I'm going to get a textured one, I may as well go to the source
But
of
do
one
you
that I
know-
already sort of enjoy.
Do you know what else is cyber textured? And it's the
know.
weirdest thing is your fingers. Your own fucking hand. So, like, if you were leaving,
I was like, what science document
if you're
did this come
leaving, like, town,
science journals were like, cyber texture might be on your very own hand. And I was like,
No,
oh,
but
I
it's
see.
like-
No, she was big on,
No, hold on a second.
all right, go ahead.
Sorry, you're saying.
I'm just saying, like, just get it on with, like, that's the easiest and the fastest way anyway. Like, if you're out of town.
You know, can a motherfucker take a compliment from his
No,
woman
it
at
is
some
No,
lovely.
you can't take a compliment.
I'm just kidding.
It is
You
lovely,
don't
but
deserve
apparently
love.
you didn't take it well. You were like,
No, I took
hate
it
myself
fine. No,
and
no,
I don't
no.
want to do it.
Look, I'm proud of very few things in my life, and so I'll take that one. But it was just one of the things where I was like,
Well, then you break up and she has your penis out there somewhere.
which would be awesome. I
No,
wish I would
son,
have.
that's not
You
even-
shush your face
Oh,
now.
listen.
I wish I would have done it. I
terrible,
deeply regret not doing it because
well, you'll
I
have
would,
another chance someday, I'm sure.
I would.
but
I would love.
You could
the-
do it right
I
now.
would love
You don't
the,
have to have someone to
Yeah.
give it to.
Yeah, bro.
but I'm just saying, like, I would love the mental image of her boyfriend being like, and whose cock is this? And she's like, oh, that's my ex's. And he has to, like, now my cock is burned into his mind for life.
But like, it's such
That
a
would be
terrible
so-
game to play. Do you
Oh,
know what I
no,
mean?
that's the
Because
long
like
game.
eventually,
Right, yeah.
eventually she's either what gonna like. I mean,
Yeah, one day she'll just find it herself and be like, "Oh, I should throw this out," and she throws out my
so
cock.
weird, bro. It's
That's
such a
fine.
weird
I don't
thing.
care. But at some point,
I don't need
She
me-
has to have a conversation with him about, like, yeah. So listen,
I don't need to be in that. I don't need to be
I
involved
do.
in
I
that. I don't
need
need
to be
my
in that.
fake.
I'm a
cybernetic
revengeful. I'm a
penis.
vengeful motherfucker.
And I'm
so
not.
I need that.
I'm not.
If
so-
I am done with
Please.
a relationship, my vagina does not need to stick around. Like
Right.
that is fine.
So you're
Like,
saying that if you,
I'm leaving and I'm taking my
So
rubber
you're saying-
vagina
I'll
with
send
me.
for my
Let me ask
things.
you this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
let me
Please
ask you
send my
this.
rubber vagina via post to my parents' house where I'm
So
living.
right off the bat, if you're dating a guy and he was like, "Listen, I really need a fuckable rubber mold of your pussy," you'd be like, "No, right?
Mm-hmm. Right off the bat, we're not dating anymore.
You really?
Just right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
wow.
we're not. I would not. I would feel
Okay,
like I would
wow.
much. I would
All
do much the same
All right,
thing.
all right.
Now, if some
Well,
girl,
see, you're
Mitch,
cutting
if
it off.
some-
I was just thinking, if you had done that, would you at the end of the relationship go like, "Excuse me, I need my fuckable rubber mold back"?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
If I had done it, I would take it back.
Right.
Did you
What if
see-
he's like, "I threw it away"?
Wait a minute.
He's like, I threw it away. That's
First
probably
of all-
why we broke
yeah,
up. That's
first of
fucking
all,
horrible.
Well, what if he
You
like
threw away the rubber
he's like,
vagina
"Dude,
I made for
beat
you
that,
with my own
He's like,
two
I beat that
hands?"
shit up so much that it's
There's
ripped in
no
half
way-
at this point.
There's no way he
I
gets
did
out of
unto
that.
it what I could not do unto you, and
There's no
it's
way that he gets
useless
out of
now.
that room without getting the shit smacked out of him. First of all, you don't get a mold of a woman's
That's what
vagina
breakups
and
are
throw
all
it away
about,
and
right?
her not beat the shit out of you, bro.
Yeah. No, I get it. I
We
get it.
paid $20,000 for that thing.
Yeah, right.
No,
Do
they're
you
40
know what
bucks.
kind of chemicals
Yeah.
No, they're
are
like
allowed?
they're not anywhere near
Inside?
it. $40 tops. You get a little
They
mold
put saran
kit.
wrap first.
You get a little kit.
How dare you
It's
put
great.
money in this?
I'm just saying. She said $10,000. It doesn't. I'm just saying. Like, if it costs
It
that
sounds
much,
very,
that's
like,
it's
complicated.
$40.
It's definitely not gonna be.
To mold your penis?
Not some sort of low budget warehouse
Yeah,
that
yeah,
don't
yeah.
got no fucking name on it.
Warehouse, nothing. There are kits. Are you both like? Have you
Who
never searched for
pours-
anything online?
I don't want no
It's a
low
tube.
grade.
It's
I
a
don't
tube.
want no low grade.
Look, you've seen
run of
fucking
the mill.
both of you
mold
have
shit.
Both of you have definitely watched MythBusters at some point. Yes. How many fucking times do you see them
They don't be
making?
making no fake
Shush!
vaginas.
They've made many, many molds of many, many things.
So wait, do you
And
send
you see
them
how
the thing, or
quickly
they-
and easily.
you can fuck
so
the
they
thing
they
immediately?
send you a thing, right? And you pour the mixture, and they tell you how to do
they
it for.
can't just.
I'm just telling you that you
send
pour the
a
mixture. No,
person's
you
vagina, bro.
you pour. I'm telling
That's
you
the
how
same
this
process.
works.
It
I don't
doesn't
know
work
why
like
you
that on Mythbusters.
look. I'm not crazy for knowing these things. They send you a mixture. You pour it into a tube, and there's a guy. You get real hard, and you stick your dick in a tube, and you don't move it. You can add a couple extenders on there just to make yourself look better, but you stick it in
Oh,
there.
then that's not even
you
legit.
Wait, you wait. No, I'm not being serious. I'm sure there's
I'm
a guy
just
out there
saying.
that would do that. But
Once
I'm saying
again,
you
big
stick
penis
it. You
is
stick,
There's a weird
misinforming
like
the public.
ridge.
You
There's
stick-
like two heads, and you're like, "What's this extra head?"
you know, just in case, back up. You know.
It was a mushroom I stuck in there just to make
So
sure.
you stick it in there for like about a minute, and then it's solid enough that you can slip it off safely, and it's got the basic shape. So, because that was always my concern. It was like, could I get hard enough to put it in there, but not like I don't want to come in the thing. And yet, if I'm not fully hard, I'm for the rest of my life going. By the way, I wasn't even really hard when that mold was taken.
Right.
I
So
was
then
like,
what,
I was
you
like a
pour
half
something
hard.
in and you bake it or something like.
It's a mold. You put the shit in, you put your dick in, then when it cures, if you will, then you pour in the rubber mold kit. Yes, and it's just like on MythBusters. Watch it.
You know what I would
How many
love?
times have they made like a human bust where they'll paint somebody's face or whatever, and then they make like a life-size bust of their face?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's exactly
I get
the
it.
same
But
process.
first
It's
of
just
all,
using a penis
can we-
and or a vagina.
I just didn't know it was home. You could take it home with you. I just
It's
thought
not take it home. You order the kits. They're like $40. I don't. This should not be that difficult to
All
explain.
right.
No, I get it. I just,
It's easy to mix two
First of
things
all,
and make a mold.
I think we should spend more time on the dude who is like gonna be a professional penis molder and then like puts his wang in there and then he just fucking orgasms. That shit is the most unprofessional thing that you could possibly do. Like,
well, but here's the thing:
comes
as a
complete with
guy,
dried sperm sample.
you would think like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm looking my fucking very best. So
Right.
you want to make sure you
You want
are
to be the hardest you've ever fucking
right.
been.
So like in my head, I'd be like, all right, get the shit ready to mix at
God.
5 minutes before you wake me up, and then I'm cool. But like, if I'm doing it myself, there's no way I'm gonna jump out of bed and mix some fucking rubber molding shit. So I'm just saying. So I'd be like, I want to be
I'm not
like
just gonna wake
at
up
the top
and
of my
stick my
game.
dick in a mold
And so
like
I'm
a
just saying,
savage.
if I'm
Yeah.
like getting to the top of my game, and let's say I put it in and it ain't all that warm, like it's kind of cold, I'm gonna be like, fuck, and I have to take it out and quickly come on. And it's like to get yourself to that level, it's very possible that you might then put it into the mold and just be like, oh, good God. And
yeah, I
that's
think it's gonna.
I don't know why this is so difficult to grasp.
It's
I
not
should not have to
difficult.
go into this much detail on
I
such
just
things.
need you to do what you're doing. I need you to
thank
tell
you.
us every fucking thing
yeah,
about it.
I
Because I
think
just
so.
didn't know.
Thank
First of
you,
all, when you
Katie.
were saying that you had a girlfriend who asked you to do this, I just didn't
this
know
is back
how
in-
fucking easy it was. I had no
Oh,
idea it was
okay.
so
All
accessible.
right. Well, that does change things
but
up
that's also because I'm not
considerably.
trolling the web for like how to make molds of the various people
I'm a
I
curious
know.
motherfucker.
I'm
For
just
one,
saying.
and for two,
Well, because I
she
just went to a
specifically-
store and was like, "Oh, look at all these things that are already made, and I can pay for them here."
But what if these are inferior to
Yeah.
the homemade bread?
Whose penis? Whose penis is this? Is
Yeah,
what
right.
my boyfriend says. He pulls up a rubber. Whose dick is this specifically?
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, I don't know. Like
Do you
4
know
million
whose-
people have
Yeah,
this.
do you know whose dick is inside of you? I don't know. That is a good
well, that I
question.
guess that's probably true. But I guess if I pulled out a woman's dong, as it were, or dildo, and it was anatomically correct and wasn't freakishly enormous, there was a part of me that would be like, which model did you like? Is there a specific porn star that you were like, oh, I'm getting his cock mold, or is this somebody else's? And that would just be because I'm a curious individual.
But I also don't know any women.
wouldn't want to have that
who
conversation.
Use a dildo to like get off. Like,
Right.
those
You don't
are-
know.
Well,
any
they
real
do make them
chefs,
now. To be
apparently.
fair, they do make them where you can insert a vibrator into it, so that it would be a
Yeah, but
vibrating.
does that cost
dildo.
$40?
$45. It's
right.
an extra $5 for the vibrating.
I'm just saying,
bullet.
like all those things that are made, like the rabbit and all that stuff that like is like a massive.
Right. It's
They
got
all
the
have the thing on
two-
the
sure,
front,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
all the women care about.
Right. Well, but you could just as very easily, attach that after the fact. I'm just
Sure,
saying.
sure. If you got
I mean, I
really
could give. Look,
ambitious.
if I can tell you this. She was again. Well, it's not me, so I guess this doesn't really count as personal. But she liked when she masturbated. She liked something in her ass while she was fucking herself. So this was going to be. I'm not sure if it was the fuck
I
herself or the
can't
ass
believe
toy,
this
honestly.
girl would ask you.
I know, it's so surprising, right? And be into a guy like me. Clearly a filthy
What a
human being.
stunning
Right.
Turn of events. She sounds like a dick joke aficionado.
Yeah, well, no, actually, oddly enough, that was like one of our biggest fights. Was like towards the end of our relationship.
You
She
told
kept-
everyone on stage about
she-
her.
No, I heard her talk to a friend of hers, and she goes, "Oh, he's just a dick joke comic," and I was like, "Excuse me."
Oh
I
wow,
was
how
like-
dismissive!
Yeah, I was like, "I'm not just a like. Yes, I got some dick jokes."
It's
I
like
mean,
Teddy,
you know.
one of Teddy's ex-girlfriends or girlfriends being like, "He's just a revolutionary comic."
Well, no, there's.
Hey, I talk about
I
bread
don't-
and shit.
I don't
He's
think
just
there's
a,
any way to sound dismissive by saying he's just revolutionary.
I'd be like, he's
But-
just a token.
If she said like
Token.
if she said like oh, he just gets up there and bitches about the government.
He just blacks it up. if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be another one. Yeah,
As I've-
he
Oh,
just
he's
gets
a
up there.
black comic.
He just gets up there and bitches about Republicans, or he just gets up there and blacks it up, or he gets whatever. Then that would be But anyway, so that was one thing, and I was a little upset about it. And then we were coming back from a trip. We were on a road trip, and I'm trying to remember. We were listening to some comic or other. And I was like, oh, rats, I got to take that joke out of my act because that's similar to something I say. She goes, I don't remember you telling her about that joke. And I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I told her the thing, and she goes, oh, well, but he doesn't go off into sex after that. And I was like, okay. And she goes, yeah, I just think that's just silly. Like, that's the thing that bothers me about your comedy is that, you talk about sex too much in it. And I was like, we've been together for 3 fucking years. And you're just now telling me that you're not really a fan. You'd prefer I talked about like cupcakes and puppies, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know how you can survive that long with.
Well, look, I didn't know she was a lying whore. So I mean, you find these things out.
Tomato.
I know.
Wowza.
Indeed, I did. Anyway, so that was that.
It is,
but you know
that's
what?
not a
She
good
doesn't
start
get,
to a conversation.
She doesn't get to fuck my rubber cock mold. So guess who wins in the end?
No.
That isn't a good start, like to any relationship conversation, though. Like, oh, you didn't tell me about that. Like that weird probing. Oh, what's that? Why don't you?
Right.
It's just asking for it.
What is difficult when you're even just friends with any kind of artist, and it's that thing where you're like, I really enjoy this person, but god damn it, their art sucks. Like whatever.
Well, you
it
couldn't
is.
if you're not a fan. There's a couple that I know, and the guy is very funny and is really
It's all right. The
successful.
Sklar brothers don't listen to this. You can talk about him if you want.
No, it's just he's really successful and he's doing very well. And then his wife also does comedy and is not doing as well. And I don't and people constantly are questioning and they ask me and they say like, these people. Do you think like he thinks her comedy is good, is funny? Like, I have no fucking idea. I can't imagine how he could. Like, he has an amazing sense of humor.
Right.
But he just like, I mean, I don't know how you could be with someone and not be a fan or not.
Yeah.
Right,
Think
right.
what they're
I'm with
doing
you.
is worthwhile.
Admire
and
their
support-
own craft.
Yeah,
fair.
and
That's fair.
I mean, in the way that like in relationships you push each other to be better and to work harder at what you're doing, but you have to be able to go, oh, what you're doing is worthwhile, and I believe in it, and that's why I'm pushing you. Not like, oh, maybe if you miss the open mic, it won't be a big deal.
Right.
Like, you don't want to have that.
What if
vibe.
you're with somebody, and this could very well be the case. I don't know if it is, but let's just suppose for this purpose of this conversation. You're with somebody and they're like, I've always wanted to try my hand at comedy and you could give me some pointers. Now, me personally, I'd be like, we're not together if that's the case because I can't. You know what I mean? It'd be too much weirdness. We'd get into fights over your bits and I don't want that, But if that were the case and she was like, I want to get into comedy, obviously you're going to suck in the beginning. So it's like, maybe she's not growing more as a comedian than she would if she was just by herself, but she's got somebody who's like, come on, keep going.
Right.
But he can't be like, and you're not very funny.
I guess that's
I don't know.
that's an element of potential, though.
Sure.
Too.
I guess this is the other thing too, which is
It would be difficult to discourage them, I think.
No,
if
but
they
I
were
feel like
I
this
want to
is-
try this.
I don't think it's that difficult though, because I feel like if what we're talking about, especially I think when we're talking about relationships and connections between people and high level creative artist types, it's always a much more high of highs, low of lows kind of things, So like if you are with someone for a very long period of time and you're working at that level on a craft,
Sure.
it's really tough to spend that much time with someone and constantly look at them and be like, yikes, that is not very good. And then tell them, oh yeah, just like at some point it becomes a level of diluting your own self as to the level of their potential and doing both of yourselves a disservice. So it's almost
So how does Chris, what's his name from Coldplay, not tell Gwyneth Paltrow, like, by the way, you're singing as shit?
Well, because usually, he's a bitch. I would
okay.
imagine it's
Chris
a level,
Martin. Chris Martin.
It's a level of cowardice because it's that thing of, oh, I want to, because I care about you,
He's
I
like,
don't want to.
baby, your singing is all yellow.
I feel like
mean,
it's that misguided.
It's
that,
like piss. It's
this-
terrible piss.
It's that misguided thing.
So
that
is your
people do
acting and your personality
where they say
and your magazine.
because I care about
and you as a person.
I want to shield you from bad things happening. So I'm just gonna not tell you that this is a bad thing that happens all the time.
Right.
And then I'm just going to make it worse inevitably. Do you know? I mean, it's like I'm going
Sure.
to try and just stave off the fact that you are forever a terrible singer until maybe somehow it changes one day miraculously, or you just decide to give it up.
I don't know. I think that her thing is like this is what happens too when people have like one career and they try to transition to another one. They already have the means and the resources to get into that career. So there's nothing stopping them.
There's no barriers of entry at all.
No, not at all. And like it's like, oh, Miley Cyrus, you want to like sing also? Like, you know, she was a actor first. I think Miley Cyrus is a little kid.
She did the Disney Channel.
I mean, and Lindsay Lohan and all these girls, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, a CD, we could make money on that. Like, let's just auto-tune the shit out of it.
Well, yeah, like once you're a child star, then it's that sense of we'll do the movies, and then you can do a song here, and then music video or whatever, and then you get into an inevitable fashion line as you get older, and then you can become a producer.
Perfume.
But it's all these things that for everyone else that they have to say, I want to be a producer, so I'm going to spend X amount of years doing this to put my position.
And people with money and power and knowledge have to allow you past each level of success.
You have to. Even if you're in a shitty high school, you have to somehow overcome those lack of resources and then get to a decent college. Then you can network and meet people who have spent their entire lives just kind of effortlessly accessing all the resources that you've been busting your ass to get. And then, you're like, oh, okay, now like I'm kind of beginning to catch up with you. And then you spend that much time and then you get this degree, which gives you a pass to get there. But if you're fucking 14 years old and you're just thrust at the top of the pile, you can just wake up and just like, oh, I want to produce a movie today. Yeah. And then it happens.
And that is, I think, like, I mean, it's champagne problems, but I think that is kind of like a difficult.
We're gonna put champagne problems on the board.
That is some champagne problems, but I mean, the
much
thing
better than
with
first
Chris,
world problems
with Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Contro.
Right. I think there's also a thing of like, when you are in love with someone and you think they're so talented and creative in so many ways, there's that kind of it can blind you to maybe the realities of like how talented how far
it would
something
be.
should
It's
go.
difficult, like if you do enjoy the art of someone, especially if it's your lover.
Right.
Not so much your friends. It's a little easier with friends. You can be a little more honest. But if it's your lover and you're a fan of their art and they just one day crank out shit, and you got to be like, listen, this particular thing was not nearly as good as what you usually produce, and it's that thing where that can create a fight.
Do you think you're more honest with your friends than the people you're sleeping with, or like your relationships?
In some ways, yeah. In some ways, no.
I disagree.
I think I'm probably. I don't know.
You would say you are more honest.
I think that with
I'm
partner.
brutally honest with my boyfriend. We are to each other. We write together, so like we're both.
Oh, you're both
I
comics.
mean, we do
what?
kind of get we've been writing other stuff. We're writing a TV show and a movie together.
Okay.
He's very funny, but he never did stand up, and he always says to me, like, sort of to goad me. He'll be like, "I've been thinking of getting on stage and doing an open mic," and I'm like, "No, please, God, don't do that." But that's in one of the ways in which I'm brutally honest with him.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
like,
that's
I don't think
fair.
it's your thing, buddy.
Which I actually feel like is a favor a lot of people don't do to people in their life, which the world would be much better for if we could just snuff out people's like stand-up dreams before they ever get to stage.
Don't
because
do that.
honestly,
Well, I don't know. Everyone sucks so hard. in the
No,
beginning.
though that's like I feel like we've reached a place where about 30, at least a third of people on stage right now are just people who should be reappropriating money to therapy and paying someone to listen to them. And because there's no actual show or progression of craft there
Sure.
at all. So I'm just saying, like, there should be someone concerned in their life who's
You
like,
mean I can go somewhere and get my ego stroked for freezy?
yeah,
And some
exactly.
people will pay me.
Right.
Awesome.
This is great, yeah.
Right.
So like, I feel like I wish there was more people who, because I've seen it happen before, and it makes me seethe because I'm like, of course this fucking person, you could never be you're just a fucking orthodontist. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you would never want to be a
I mean,
stand-up
friends
comedian.
of mine, that I've known that have said that. I'll say, listen, I'll find a way to book you a show. Like I'll put you on a show that I'm doing.
Right.
You bring out some people, whatever the fuck have you.
Right.
But I'm just letting you know I will be brutally fucking honest.
Right.
And like if I think that like there's no room for improvement, I'll just tell you. So you need to be prepared for that. If you're not, don't get on stage.
It's like crossing over into a new realm of life almost.
So,
Because
I guess in regards to, you know, relationship versus friends, as far as that honesty, I think I'm probably more emotionally honest with partners, definitely. But I think when it comes to criticism, probably less so with the partners.
you're more willing to give friends a pass, you'd say?
No. I'm
No,
less
he's,
willing.
He's
I'm more willing.
More willing
of
to give
his
your partner.
friends.
Because it's that thing of like if I'm critical towards a friend and I'm just being helpful and whatever have you, I don't have to wake up next to them, or you know what I mean. There's not gonna be an awkward moment where we're just watching a TV show and they go, "Well, you laughed at that. Why not my joke?" or whatever it is. You know, they're gonna see me all the time. Whereas a friend, it's like it's not the same thing. It's the same kind of deal as like. When I get down to when I think about like open relationships or closed relationships and monogamy and cheating and things like this, it's that thing where I go like, you know, if I call up any one of my friends and I'm like, dude, I had sex with this really attractive woman the other night, you know, great, high fives, you know, let's go have a drink, whatever, you know, tell me all about it. You don't say that to your girlfriend, so. As a for instance, because there's no judgment on behalf of the friend. The friend's just like happy because you're happy. You know what I mean? It's that true love kind of thing. When you talk about true love, it's like if you truly love somebody, all you really want is for them to be happy, even if it has no benefit to your life and whatsoever. In fact, even if it's detrimental to your life. If a friend of yours says, "Listen, I'm moving out of the state because I got this job offer. It's what I've always wanted." You're going to be sad that you'll miss them, but you wish them well. You won't get into a fight of, what about us?
No selfish impulses or anything.
But if you're with a partner and you go, listen, you know, there's this thing in New York, and they're like, I don't want to move to New York. And you're like, well, it's really got nothing to do with me, does it? You know, and it's that kind of thing where you got to be like, well, I'm sorry that, you know, this is going to have to end then because I'm not going to not do that just because you're fucking butthurt about
I
it.
feel like Katie's got a lot of thoughts.
Please.
bouncing
Well,
around.
I guess I just feel like that's okay because you take that on when you get into a relationship. You sort of
Absolutely.
take on the we over me.
Sure.
And so,
Which is why I'm usually not
I'm
anyone.
not sure,
The we over me.
but I sort of
I'm an incredibly selfish person in that regard.
no, I don't really feel like I have. I mean, I guess because of where we live and stuff, I guess I know a lot of people who might take a friend's success as like as a failure of their own in some way. Do you know what I mean? And that sort
Right.
of bitterness. But I don't know. I think if you said like you don't have to wake up next to the person if you give them some sort of critique, but I think if you're thinking about waking up next to that person for the rest of your life, then there is an element of like wanting that person to be the best them that they can be, and that might be a little bit selfish because you're like, I don't want to be with the best version of this dude.
I understand.
But you know what I mean? So I think pushing
Right.
each other, I feel like my boyfriend and I push each other more than I would ever push my friends. I ask my friends tough questions sometimes and like try to get them to think about stuff, but
Sure.
I don't think I'm as critical.
I think the difference is
Okay.
that
I see
you've
what you're saying.
you've also if you've got the difference between say close friends versus someone who's a more intimate kind of partner. There's also a certain
People you fucking.
for instance,
Just trying to get.
you could have some celibate peoples out there that are just waiting to get some coitus on. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We got some celibate Riffalonians.
That ain't a relationship. That's
Okay.
friends that sleep in bed together.
Hey,
Oh, that's okay. Just cuddle up.
see,
Look, I've done
There
that
you
with
go.
male
You-
friends. I would never say
celibate
that we were in
Riffalonians,
a
you've got a
relationship
friend in
together.
Katie. My point though is that I feel like you're also kind of the point where I think it's less of being selfish if you're in that kind of partnership with someone where you want the best version of them because you're giving them the best version of yourself. It's almost in your own self-interest. If you're like, listen, I'm going to make this level of a long-term commitment, and I'm saying you're going to get this kind of, commitment from me in terms of what I'm bringing to the table, then I'm going to at least expect this of you. Otherwise, why am I partnering up?
Well,
I will
think
grant you
the
that
thing
as
is-
Well, no.
as a for instance, I don't mean to cut you off, but as a for instance, in regards to the relationship wherein I discovered that she thought I talked about sex too much, or I don't know, maybe she never liked my comedy, maybe she was just pissed that day and wanted to make something that will sting. I have no
Right.
idea. we didn't have that conversation. I was just
Probably
kinda
the latter. I feel like if it was the former, she wouldn't be with you.
yeah. Well, we weren't together at that time, so I mean, we were in the middle of we were mid breakup, but it was a family reunion. It was just before my mom
she was
passed
just
away,
rubbing
so
some
it was
salt
like
in the wound.
probably so. But I'm just saying, regardless.
We carry lots of salt around us, ladies.
Ladies in a salt bags. It's like the hidden Jew gold you always hear about. It's
that
very
yellow
similar.
raincoat. I knew
damn
it
it.
wasn't fucking.
I'm gonna find your salt bags. Render unto me your salt bags. But I think that I think to some degree, more importantly, that moment was what bothered me was like, okay, when you're critical of what I've said on stage, you won't say anything. And that bothered me kind of more than just like the dismissive. It was like,
but it sounds
that
like you're the
won't
same way,
say
though.
that. No, I mean, I'll grant you to some degree, but I think that, I told her, like, I don't bruise easy emotionally or physically. So fucking please be honest, I would have, if she was like, really like.
Price's Katie's reaction is amazing right now.
Wait, no, if she would have said to me.
It's just so telling.
I've been beat up in both ways many times in my life. So it's like.
I am sure of it.
Yeah. Thanks. Don't put that on the board. But what I'm saying is that so I think that had she opened up a line of dialogue about it, then I'd be like, oh, why did that particular bit bother you or
Right.
whatever have you?
Yeah.
There was only one bit.
She didn't
that
give you a chance to even talk
Right.
about it.
So I would be, in a sense, that when it comes to a partner, depending on who they were and so on and so forth, if they had encouraged me at any point to give them criticism, I would take it.
Right.
She wasn't like an artist
Well,
in
it
any
doesn't
regard,
really
so
sound,
I couldn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you guys had that kind of a thing.
We didn't, but
going.
regardless, I'm saying that if I had a partner that had any kind of artistic inclination that was doing something, I would say, like, at what point am I allowed to be critical, and what stings versus what do you take as criticism? I just want to know that. With friends, it's like there's no rush to figure that out, because it's that whole like, oh, you don't break up with your friends. So I'm not as worried about, like, oh, they're going to never talk to me again if I go like, listen, that's not your best painting.
I think this is the thing that I feel
You know what I'm saying?
That's not your best painting.
Whatever it is. But in a relationship, they, especially women, they'll stew some shit for a while. They've got a pot brewing for like 6 months that
They
you didn't
carry
even
the salt, bro.
And they were adding it to the pot so it brews faster, and you don't even know. And so you say some like innocuous seeming thing like, you're going with red nail polish today? And they blow up, and you're like, really? Over red nail polish? And you're like, no. Let me take you back.
But by that point, though, in fairness, I will say you've probably had multiple opportunities to defuse the situation, and you failed.
You say that, but you never know. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't.
Well,
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
You've got an expert
by all
here
means.
in the room.
Sorry.
No, I think.
Are you an expert woman?
I'm an expert of my own woman.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fair.
Teddy was giving you expert woman status.
I can't really speak to. I've actually known lots of crazy women too, like women who do all
Which
the
is like
things.
that's
that,
my wheelhouse, by the way.
All the things that
That's where I stay away from.
all the
like
things
a big
women
fan.
do that guys are always talking about, like women do crazy shit.
Woman traps, as we call them.
Bitches be tripping. No, I'm
Bitches
saying
be,
shit.
Bitches be crazy with woman
Yeah, no,
traps.
bitches be
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
I like a crazy bitch.
I do not.
They're
But
willing to do a lot of things in bed that non-crazy bitches won't.
I
So
do not care about the bed.
no, sorry.
I
go
had
ahead.
this younger girl just recently ask me sort of some relationship advice, and she's like, I have a question for you because you've been in a relationship for a while, and I'm dating this guy, and I need somebody who's not 22. And I was like, all right, well, I satisfy two of those categories, two of those requirements. I'm not 22, and I've been in a relationship. And she was saying how she just like felt like she was being crazy because she wanted to ask this guy where they stood in terms of their relationship. And I was
crazy
like,
talk.
And I was like, no, you're not being crazy. It's crazy that your friends make you feel crazy for wanting to ask someone you've been sleeping with for
Right.
6 to 8 months
That's weird.
what your status is.
I feel like that's a really weird social pressure that I found.
It's
that
women
happens
on
to-
women crime.
It is. It's that Cosmo effect.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like it's. I feel
yeah.
like it's. I feel like it happens to far too many.
You know
too
what?
many
You know
women
what?
where
The, you
they're
know
like,
the problem with it is that is a terrible question to be asked. Having been asked that question more times than I can fucking literally
Not
count.
that terrible of a question.
No.
You gotta be
Hold
prepared
on.
for that shit.
Hold
All
on.
right, Mitch,
It's a
say your
weird.
piece.
It is
Say
a
your-
weird question,
whatever.
especially if 6 to 8 months of fucking.
You a bitch.
That is a weird question to fucking.
No, but
not
they're
that
not just
weird.
fucking. They're like dating.
I get it. I'm just. Let me. I've
All
been
right,
on.
all right, I'm
I've been
ready.
on the male side of this.
I'm ready.
It's a weird question to get hit with. Because it's like you're suddenly now asking me to make a decision that I didn't think we were making, and that's a little. It's pressure.
Well, that's
Because
you're
hold on,
assuming.
and the other thing is that it's a loaded question because there's no good answer.
No, you're assuming that she's going to hit you with it, as
No,
opposed
no.
to what I suggested was.
Are you done?
Hey.
Are you done?
No, I'm not. But
Sorry,
let
no,
him
keep
finish.
going.
I want
No,
to
let's-
go back and forth on this.
because I want to.
You're not in this
I am
just
in
yet.
This, 'cause-
Hold on.
No.
Give me a minute. I
Damn
do.
it, man.
So what I'm saying is like because to me, it would be look. I've the aforementioned girlfriend. You know the aforementioned girlfriend.
The finger in the butt, girl.
There's been a lot of finger in the butt. Girl.
Yeah.
That does not.
Be more
Are we-
specific,
That does
sir.
not narrow it down. That's like half of LA, but or more.
I don't
Anyway,
have the right friends.
clearly, well, you've come to the right podcast.
Welcome to Riffin'
I'll be your buddy that introduced you
I want to
to.
have a girlfriend who I call finger in the butt, girl.
You probably have 5.
Yeah, that's
You-
probably true.
You just haven't been having
Introduce
the right
them to me. I will suss them out for you.
Mitch
I'll
can
be
be
like,
your
finger in the butt.
reconnaissance.
Finger in the butt. Not. No. Finger in the butt, girl. I'll show me
I
photos.
would never make a girlfriend feel bad about it. So
I'm
I
not
feel like
talking- no, I'm
if
not
we're
talking
talking about brunch. If we're talking over brunch, like she should tell me she likes a finger in the butt.
Right. I'm with you. I'm not judgmental
And I think
about
most
the
of my
thing.
friends
in an
have
ideal
told me.
world.
I'm not judgmental about
I
it.
feel
I'm
really
just
upset
I
about
like
this
to
now.
know these things as well, but I don't want them to tell me only not because I'll judge. It's like I don't want them to tell me because you ruined the fun of me finding out that you're into that. And then it's like, it's kind
Or
of nice.
that they're not, and they like punch
No,
you in the face.
no. Look, I know what I'm doing. All right. It's like when it comes to what women are
She
into.
makes a strong case,
when
bro.
it comes to what women are into, you don't do it. You suggest it, not like verbally necessarily. You suggest it,
I don't really
and then
know.
like if you're fingering a woman and
God.
your ring
Oh, he's
finger
really gonna do it.
slides
Wow,
up
you
under.
were just
yeah.
damn, son.
Well, listen,
Okay.
He's really going there.
I'm trying to give advice to the people at home.
Yep.
If you're fingering a woman and
Wait, can you just hold on a second? Deborah Page, turn your computer off.
Oh yeah, I forgot your mom's listening. Put
No,
that
but
on the
I'm
board.
ready.
I forgot your mom's listening.
Just keep going though. Her computer's
Okay.
off now. I'm sure she'll listen
I'm
to me.
sure. I'm sure. So what I'm saying is, if you're fingering a woman and your ring finger slides between cheeks, right?
Right.
If she's
Doesn't smack you in the face.
No, I'm not talking about smack in the face. I'm not talking about putting fingers in the asshole.
No, I know. The
I'm just talking
suggestion
about
of it, though.
sliding it in, like near the butt cheeks.
Yeah.
If they don't clench or do anything like that, then you can kind of go you can go in between the butt cheeks. Again, no fingering of the butthole, just between the
Katie has
cheeks.
now put her head in her
You're
hands.
cutting me off. I just want to get because I had a different point entirely before
Yeah,
this.
it was the
so
male
we're gonna go
version.
back to that. So you can slide it between the butt cheeks. Now, if they don't do any kind of hip movement away from your finger, then you're like, okay, I'll lightly rub the asshole. Now, if they don't like kind of shimmy down on it, then they're probably not into it. And especially if you rub the outside of the butthole, you can very quickly ascertain whether or not this girl likes things in her butthole, even if it's something as small as a finger.
Super. Yeah.
I'm just saying that's how you figure these things out. If you just go jamming the shit in, yeah, that's where you get slapped if they're not into it. And even if they are, they're going to be like, listen, I'm into that, but you're not doing it right. So there's no good way. And that goes for a lot of things in bed. Anyway. Getting back to the previous point, which I've
I'd
now
love to
forgotten,
do
so
that.
please, by all means, you were saying we were
We're
talking
talking
about.
about the question, which is a very normal question
Right,
to
and
be
you were saying-
asked.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
saying it's
so
loaded.
So this girl and I, we were seeing each other, if you will. We were going on dates and things like this. We were having sex. We were basically very similar to a couple. She lived a good 20 miles away. So it wasn't like every day. This was like, a few times a week or whatever, having a good time. And the way she brought it up is, I want to have an open conversation about your feelings towards me and my feelings towards you. And I was like, I am down with that. That is cool.
But somewhere,
But if
he would panic.
if what you say is, where do we stand? then I feel like you're about to give me an ultimatum, and that puts me on edge.
I would never tell this girl to say to this guy, "Where do we stand?" That is the fastest way to just.
I'm
like,
not
put
saying
the
you
kibosh
would.
on
I'm
it.
just saying that, that when people
But
say,
let's say-
I want to know where I stand with that guy, I say, why don't you present it as like, can we have
Well,
a
and that's what I
conversation?
suggested.
Or you say like, I really like you. This is where I stand, and I'm not asking you to make a decision right now. I'm just letting you know how I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't feel that way, then cool.
That's what I'm saying, though. I
Okay.
had the feeling that my saying to her to say to him, "Look, I'd love to have a conversation about what you see for us, what you like to do here. I feel this way. I want to know how you feel whenever you're ready to tell me." Me telling her to say that was probably the first person that has ever explained that that's the way.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But she's 22 and that's normal.
I feel like
Or she's like 20.
I feel like what happens a lot, especially if you're like if you're looking for advice or something, if you've been dating someone a few months and you guys are hooking up or whatever, and you like that's all you do is hang out with each other, so you basically feel like you are in a relationship, but you haven't had that discussion yet of exclusivity or basically staking out your position. But you've got someone who, like, let's say, like, from the female side, she's like, oh well, like I feel a certain way, but if you ask like a male friend or something, and you're like, oh, like what if you were him, like what would you think? And they're like, well, if you haven't talked to him, then like who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? Like, if you hear shit like that, then you're gonna fucking like it's hard to approach it in a really calm way.
Well, I think all her girlfriends were giving her the like, oh no, like he needs to fucking sit down with you,
right,
and tell you what is up. And it's like, no, I mean, you guys can, if you want to continue in a certain way, you have to approach it.
I'll tell you quick. There was
I like you. I feel this way.
Yeah.
Do you feel this way?
I'll say this.
When I was 19, I had a million of those conversations. Like, what's going on here? And we're usually drunk and like want to kill each other at the end. I
will say this for men and women. There was a girl I dated some years back. Where within the first month or so, not even that, maybe like the first week or two, she said to me, she goes, I know that I had been out of a relationship like maybe 6 months, but it was a very long relationship. It was like almost 4 years. And she goes, I know that you had a very long relationship not that long ago, and I don't know where you're at relationship wise. She goes, I really like you, and I'd like to be with you. And I know that's probably not what you're into, and that doesn't bother me right now, but there will come a time when that does bother me. And I said, let me know when that time is. That's an honest answer. Now, it turns out that more times than I can count on either hand combined, many times in my life, I have found out that women will not let you know when that time is. They just expect you to figure out when that time is, and that bothered me because
you'll find out. You'll start getting that cold shoulder.
Yeah, well, no, they get fucking literally violently.
Right, the women
angry.
You date turn the cold shoulder into the like.
And in the
left
other
hook.
realm,
this particular woman told me that her mom died so she could marry her ex. So. She went crazy, but
I don't really know what that means. What do you mean?
That's literal. I'm not being.
She told you her mom died.
So she was like, my mother died. I need to go take care of her things. I'll be away for a month. And during that time, she married her ex and moved away.
I wasn't sure if the mom died so that she like somehow
No.
mom had to die.
Her mom didn't actually die. No. She lied about her mother dying so she could marry her ex and move away, and I wouldn't ask any questions because she was supposed to be out of town for a month.
Fucking insane.
I know this. I'm telling you that this is apparently that's what happens when. My point is that we made an arrangement that she was going to tell me when she was
when
frankly,
she was getting upset.
If she would have told me, if she would have sat down with me and said, "Listen, that time has come. If you're fucking any other women, please stop." I would have. I was ready for that. I didn't.
Well, then why didn't you approach it first?
I know, but I just. I know that now. I know
That's
that.
okay. Look, we don't need to go back through everything and
I know.
tell you.
No.
The
I know
spots in
that.
which...
I know that. But you gotta understand that, like in my head, we made that agreement.
Yeah, and in your head, you're thinking she's gonna come to me, and you're like, I'm good as long
Yeah,
as.
I realize I'm an adult. I know things. I know that's not
No,
how
I'm
it
sorry.
works.
I'm not trying to be hard on you. It's because you're my friend, and now I'm just.
Are we buddies? Awesome. I made friends
I'm
with
being
Katie
so hard
Page.
on you.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Yeah. Kudos.
Yeah,
Cheers to
make
you.
friends. Build
I'm
bridges,
merely
bitches.
saying that that conversation came on relatively early, and granted, she did not live up to her end of the deal. But
She didn't.
even
She
still,
sounds terrible. So you are
she was. No, she was.
You're
I'm
no
not.
fault here.
I'm not blaming
I have
myself.
not met
No,
an
no.
ex-girlfriend of yours yet that I like at this point in terms of our
There's
I
plenty.
do enjoy that
There's
Katie
plenty
is
that you
coming
would
out
actually get
swinging
along
as
with that are like
actors.
really good women. And I don't have that many like ex girlfriends per se. Like I have like
ex-lovers.
if we're not counting like
paramours.
if we're
Yes.
not counting high school, I've got 3.
We're counting high school.
Oh well, then I've got
Oh, did you just like?
5.
Oh, I was like, did you just like take the town in high school? Like he made it sound like he was going to be like,
no.
we're not counting high school. I say 3, and then it's like, oh, high school 23.
No,
If we're-
no.
If we're
I'm
not
just
counting
saying,
high school, then I'm still a citizen of the United States.
I'm saying I'm 34 years old. You'd think that, it's theoretically like you'd think, oh, I've had, 5, 10, 15 or
High
whatever.
school was the worst time.
But
for
I'm
me.
just saying. Anyway, my point is that was a great conversation that we had. I'll grant you it did not turn out well. I'm not blaming myself for her going nuts, but certainly what I did learn is like you can't just wait for them to tell you that. I'll grant you.
True.
I did make that mistake later in life, a year later, but with a different woman, and it wasn't nearly that bad. It was just like, really, you want me to? And I was like, sorry, you said. But that would be my greatest suggestion: is like to tell somebody early on, this is what kind of person I am, and right now everything's cool. I'm not asking you to make any decisions. I'm just letting you know this is what kind of a person I am. These are the things I'm going to want. Blah blah blah.
Well, girls always do this thing of like, no, I'm really chill. I just like want to hang out, and I just want to be chill. Like
Why do
I'm
they
not
lie
even
to me?
looking for a relationship. I just want to hang out. And then like 2 weeks later, they're like, what's going on here?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, women do that.
Trap,
But
bro. Well, see, this is the thing that I would
All right,
say
go ahead.
is that now
You've
that
been
you
quiet
allow
for a
me,
while, so go
thank
ahead.
you. First
By
of
all
all,
means.
the woman
in
trap in that case, there's a million red flags that gentlemen like to overlook in those scenarios.
yeah, and then act like, oh, she's crazy
that's-
for not
yeah,
letting
right?
me know.
And so like that's why I hate like both of y'all sides, because on that side, like it's like the death. Like
It's real easy to judge from the outside. I'm sure.
it is. It
oh,
is very
absolutely.
easy, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Harriet Tubman
It's-
doesn't play games.
Yeah.
She is like
It's
straight
like
up.
Harriet
it's like
Tubman
dream
actually-
interpretation.
Harriet
You
Tubman did
can
not fucking
hear
play no
somebody.
games
You can
with
hear
No.
nobody
somebody
in
talk
the
about
case.
their
She would kill a
dream,
motherfucker.
and you
She's
can
like,
go
we're
like,
gonna get from A to B, and I'm not gonna fuck around in
I will
between.
murder you.
No,
if
no.
you don't
I'm
finish
merely
this term.
saying that it's easy. It's again the dream interpretation. It's like you can listen to somebody's dream, and if you've read anything at all about dream interpretation, or basic psychology, you can go, that's blank, like with a snap of a finger, and you're going to be pretty much right. But as yourself, when you have a dream, you're like, no, wait. There's a lot of nuances I didn't tell you about. And so you can't interpret your own dreams.
Dreams
for
aren't
I don't know.
shit.
I think dream
Dreams are not
interpretation is the
people.
same as
No, no,
star
no,
signs.
no,
That's
no,
why I
no.
don't
That's
get it.
not even.
Dreams
No.
are not people. And
I'm not
people,
saying that. I'm making an analogy. I'm not saying dream interpretation is a perfect science by any means. I'm not even saying, well, I don't know if it's even a science, but there is something weird that your brain does while you sleep, and it's hilarious to me that it's interesting when I've read about dream interpretation. Like, listen, I've had a few dreams in my life that were exceedingly fucking gay. Like, I won't say violently gay. Like, where I'm like,
No, please.
where I'm
we're
like
gonna put
holding,
violently gay
like I've had 2
on the
dreams in my life where I've held down male friends and jokingly blown them. You know what I'm saying?
Never had those.
And
dreams.
both times, and what
I do all the
what I rate it. Thank you.
Jokingly
I
blow
later-
them.
yeah.
I laugh in between. Like,
Where I was like, wouldn't it be hilarious if I was blowing you right now? But what I'm saying is, like, you read about like people who study psychology and the psychology of people and the dreams therein, and gay dreams are often like you have your a discomfort or a nervousness about the opposite sex, and the 2 times I've had those dreams were right around the time where I was on rocky ground with a girl that I was really into or in a relationship with. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to me that that's the case. I'm not saying it's a science. I'm just saying. So it's very easy to stand outside of people who have been through things and say like, well, this is what was going on. But when you're in them, you're going to be like, no, but there's a lot of nuances you're not getting. Because that's what happened.
I get it.
Thank you.
No, I ain't got
We
no
all have
Teddy
really...
will never be on my side for
But
this.
you've had
Thank
weird...
you.
I'm sure you've had like relationships with people where you go, this person is crazy, and I'm drawn to them like
No, I don't.
like a moth to a flame.
I cut those motherfuckers out of my life.
Now
I shut
you
them
do.
down.
You're an
no,
adult.
No, Mitch can testify to this.
I am not testifying for you
Oh,
on
you
that.
shut up. I've been shit. Listen, outside of the
Every
future,
time I try to talk about your personal life, you say protect my life. So I ain't saying shit about your
damn
personal
it. Okay,
life.
now
No.
you're gonna leave me on the moat.
No,
All right,
just
fine.
I'm
Fair
letting
enough.
you because I don't
okay,
think
no,
judging
I'm saying-
people's problems is
I'm
the way
not
to
saying
be.
I'm not saying that I'm judging people's problems, but what
It's
I am
easy
saying,
to say there's a problem here because of blank, but when
Listen,
you're in that
I-
problem,
no.
you're going to go, oh well, not really because there's a lot of
I will
nuances.
say
Sure,
this.
always.
I will say this
That's
as a
what I'm
person
saying.
who has been exceedingly and brutally honest about myself and the massive depression I have struggled with in my entire life, and the fact the only reason I had relationships in high school is because my best friend in high school basically helped to manufacture both of those things in a quest to, quote, get me laid. Essentially, there are people that I didn't even particularly like. You know, it was a sense of I don't care about myself enough to end this thing that I know has no emotional fulfillment
Right.
or no satisfaction.
that passivity that happens.
Right. So, like, it's that sense of being aware of, I don't care about myself enough to fucking step up and, actually start investing in my own self-worth or whatever. So, I am immensely aware in that situation of all of the red flags that signal, A, this is a terrible place to keep myself. This person is not someone that I have any sort of long-term partnership potential with whatsoever. But because I am either A, too depressed, too apathetic, too lazy, too comfortable,
Sure.
okay, to
Sure.
enjoying of the sex, I am not willing to invest in the needed amount of effort to rise myself up out of this. So I do not want to hear any sad fucking stories from people about
are
how
active
right,
and-
because those red flags were there from the beginning. You chose to ignore them because whatever you saw as the benefit was more worthwhile than investing in yourself and putting yourself in a better long-term situation. As someone who has tried to keep people away from me since fucking 11 years old, I know what it means to let a motherfucker into my life, okay? So I don't have time to fucking let crazy bitches in. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I become too vulnerable in too many ways with a bunch of crazy bitches in. And that's just talking to you. That's not even having sex with you. That's just literally associating with you at a fucking restaurant, okay? I don't have time for your crazy ass because you're going to say things and I'm going to have to think about it and waste delicate time of my life that I don't need to be wasted with your dumb ass, okay? I could be watching a different world right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But at
Okay?
the same time, you've come to that conclusion of putting up that sort of like that barrier of like, you're crazy, you can't pass this way. You must
You
be this
too shall
tall
not
to
pass.
ride this ride.
You must be not this crazy to get on this
Exactly.
road.
Nobody over 5'6". I'm
So
with you.
you've come to that place, but some people like maybe Mitch when he was in those relationships, like maybe he hadn't gotten to that point yet, and so he was still at that place of like.
I will say this: when it comes to like the when I will say I'm jokingly when I crazy, like I'm pretty good at like actual crazy avoiding, pretty good, obviously not exceptional by any means. The one girl with the dead mother married the ex thing, she actually seemed like the most well put together person. She was the manager. Hold on. She was
No, I know this person.
right.
They're psychopaths.
She managed the apartment complex she lived in. You know what I'm saying? So she collected the rent, all that. She lived rent. She was the manager of the apartment complex, that's pretty well put together. As far as professional,
The manager of my apartment complex is 80 years old. He has one eye.
right. I'm only saying professionally. I'm saying she also was the
He's pretty well put together.
you
He's a Korean War vet.
I'm merely saying like in a professional
No,
sense.
I get it. I'm sorry.
Thank you, please.
Yes, so she seemed like she.
I know
fucking-
that. Okay, so there was that, but it's not like she sat around all day. She she was the head of a marketing department at a pretty high profile makeup company. That my sister was like, stay with that girl, because like she kept sending my sister stuff.
Well,
Like
I mean,
anytime
they say
there
all
was
these
like,
CEOs are sociopaths. Like
I'll grant you that.
So you can hold down jobs.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. Look,
Yeah.
I'm merely saying that she was an intelligent girl. We had a lot of great conversations. All of my friends loved her.
Patrick Bateman.
She
was real
had her
chatty.
life
Mm-hmm.
together. You know what I mean? All these various things. That's why it was such a weird culture shock, if you will.
Yeah, of course.
That all of a sudden, and it's not like, I mean, I found out quite incidentally because while she was away burying her mother, quote unquote, she told me that she had a friend of hers watching her apartment, and this was a guy I just barely knew. Like I met her the same night I met him. Innie and I had talked a million times. It just so happens he goes to the same clubs I do. So I ran into him and I said, "How's she doing? How's everything going with with the mom thing and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Is she holding up well? Because I don't hear from her much. She's very busy." And he's like, "With what?" And I was like, because the whole mom thing and everything else like that. And you're watching her apartment. I figure she probably talks to you pretty regularly. He's like, "Why would I be watching her apartment? I haven't talked to her in fucking months." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, Yeah. The last I heard from her was the wedding invite." And I was like, "Sorry." Like run that by me again. And
well, that's
that's
just
what I'm
shitty,
saying?
and it makes sense
Yeah,
why you
she's
have this
obviously
thing
psychotic,
now.
but I didn't. That's a different level of
Katie,
psychotic.
Katie in her head is like, yeah.
Now, my
okay.
last-
all the
get it.
pieces have come
I
together.
think what happened with the last really long relationship I had was that I think there was a lot of on my behalf there was a lot of terrible things I had done over time, and then there were towards the end of it, like my whole life was like falling apart, and I got angry because she wasn't like on my team at all.
Right.
She was just like letting shit happen,
Right.
and letting me just devolve into a drunk, and then getting angry at me for it. And I was like, fucking.
But never stepping in front of it.
Never stepping in front. Like I lost my job, my car, my credit, my fucking apartment, my mom, all in the course of 3 months. And she was like, "You're a drunk," and I was like, "I need help,"
And had she not been there, you may have turned to a friend that would have been more like, fucking get your shit together.
Exactly. So that's why it was like it bothered me that this woman was not on my team. So
Got it.
that was our big, Anyway,
I mean, look, I dated a guy. My first real boyfriend told me his father beat him into within an inch of his life, and that he was going to court because there was some domestic case against his father for having beat him. And he read a speech to me that he had written that was like, and I'm only laughing because it is not true, but he read a speech to me that he had written to say that to read on the stand to like get his father from having to go to prison.
Right.
And we had a fight of like, why are you going to do this and keep him from going to prison when he beat the shit out of you when you were a kid? Nope. Never did.
Sure.
I met his father, loveliest man. We had dinner together, and I was like, the whole time I felt so uncomfortable because I'm like, I should hate this man, but he's so nice. And then later I'm thinking to myself, my God, was I mean to him?
How did you find out that it was?
Oh, there was a whole. I
That
mean,
you
he
were
was.
curious.
that you were catfished.
Yeah,
Catfish.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
a sociopath. I mean, there was a whole.
You watching that show now?
Catfish.
You watching the show, or are you talking about the documentary?
I'm talking about. First of all, I've
The
seen.
man- I know what you're
I mean,
saying.
they're one of the same essentially. But
I haven't watched. I just recently. I just yesterday found out there was a TV show.
This is what I was saying.
So-
TV show is pretty hard to watch.
Yeah, TV
I'm
show is pretty
sure.
terrible.
I would
But
love to talk
the
about
thing
that
is,
after this.
I remember when Catfish came out almost 2 years ago now, and I remember reading
you
about it,
talked
and I
about
was
that.
like, it sounds kind of interesting, and I had never seen it, and then like I knew that they got a show on MTV, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch that. And then one night I was really high, and I was on Netflix, and I was like, oh, it was on TV or something. And I was like, all right, let me just see what this whole Catfish thing is about. And then I just got I started watching it, and I just got sucked in because I was like, are you really telling me that this fucking thing is just about a bunch of sad, lonely people fucking pulling craziness?
Well, that's the hard part. Like I watched it. A girlfriend of mine came over. We had some wine. She was like, "You have to see this show." We watched 3 of them on demand, and I just couldn't. I couldn't really handle the fact that none of these people were like actively functioning within society.
Right?
They were all on the fringe of
They're
society.
out in these rural places.
And they're out,
most
yes,
of
and-
the time.
Can I say
And
this?
they did
I
it for
watched the
2
documentary
years.
on a date with a girl I met
That
on the
is
internet.
a poor life decision.
Yes,
no,
but you
it was
met
not.
her.
She was yeah.
But
and
you met her. You were sitting next to
because
her.
the
That's
thing
a
is
totally different
because
thing.
the thing. If we're gonna go into catfish, which I don't want to, because we were having a separate conversation that I now forgot. But
It was about my ex-boyfriend being a sociopath.
oh yeah. How did you find out that was false? I'm painfully curious.
There were a lot of things that happened.
Especially in light of when you were like, yes, sociopaths, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no, this was. I mean, this
And I'll
was,
grant you, this woman was definitely that, but, that's a very difficult thing to catch
there was a lot.
when they're charming.
So yeah, that's what he was. He was crazy charming and really smart and very funny, and so everything sort of got off with a joke or a laugh, which
Sure.
I know a lot about because we all kind of build these defense mechanisms and telling a joke. I totally went with his. I was like, I
Right,
get
right.
it. You have to tell a joke about it.
Right.
But he had said initially the first lie was that he had been drafted to play baseball. And he'd come up with this article, and I teased him like, oh, did your mom write this article? Because he joked that he had gotten drafted to play pro ball and that he had chosen instead to go to college. And that he was going to play for the college team, which, by the by, did not exist.
Oh,
Okay.
snap.
Hold on.
So
Catfish.
his roommate and I sort of were like, yeah, that's kind of weird.
So wait, right off the bat, how did you know the art? Like, he was like, oh, here's an article about it?
He showed me an article of him playing baseball.
like a
It was
print-
an article from
it was
his
a printout?
home. It was on the internet. It was an article from his hometown newspaper or whatever the fuck. And I teased him, like saying, oh, did your mom write this article? It was all about his like potential and his promise. And he said had some injury. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, you've never played baseball in your life.
It looked like me then. I get it.
Right.
But I have played baseball, but just as a child. So it's okay. Doesn't
yeah,
really
that might have
count.
been it too. I mean, he had a lot of hangups. He was the thing was in the beginning we were not dating. He was dating another girl, and we were just friends.
Right,
so none of
right.
this stuff had any weight to me. Do you know what I mean? It
You
was
were
sort of
being
like
lured in. Unknowingly.
yeah.
By the
none
way,
of
if
it had
anybody
any-
tries to pull that line again, this is what I can figure out about people who plays baseball versus people who haven't played baseball, is that you say, so how many donuts do you put on your bat when you're practicing? And
Is
if
that
they-
the test?
Yeah, that's a good test.
I'm gonna go with
if
you
they
play
if they
baseball,
go, what do you mean? Then they've never played baseball. They don't even know about baseball. And Teddy will vouch for me on this. I haven't paid attention to sports since like 1991.
I hope to never have
I'm
to
not
ask
even into
someone this
sports.
question. It's
I'm
so-
merely just.
But
this
if you
is-
do
this
go
is
back
more
out
like,
into the wild,
this is more
now
for
you're
like
armed.
this is like a thing for people.
It's
this is
true.
just like a thing.
Rivopolis.
You know,
Take it to the streets.
for the
Right.
public
No.
service announcement. Because if they go like, "What do you mean?" then they have no idea what.
I
a
hope
donut
somebody's
is.
listening to this right now.
Because
with some
everybody
fake-ass
calls it
baseball
it's
player
a
in their
weight.
apartment,
You
and
put
they
a
ask
you
them,
put the idea is
Yeah, I know what the
you
weights
put a
are,
weight
yeah.
on. Okay,
Get
you,
your donut half
but it
ass.
While
it
you're
looks
on the-
it looks like a donut. It literally
Right.
looks like it's just weight. And you
well,
know,
you're on
as
deck so
as
that you're swinging harder.
Yeah, as you're well, it's not even when you're on deck. You do it like when you're like just at
Yeah.
home.
Listen.
The idea is that you just get used to that motion.
We know
and
that
no
you're
amount
just-
of weight
You don't need
will.
to keep doing that, bro.
I know. Sorry.
I'm on board. My
Okay,
little
go ahead.
little
Go
sister's
ahead.
ex-boyfriend plays professional baseball.
So you were like this art. You were teasing him, and then
So yeah, so that was like the first weird thing. Then there were all these like stories of his family being involved in the mob, which was like always really. I mean, the thing was that I
keep
don't,
sounding like me. But go ahead.
but I don't take a,
Did you catfish your own self and then erase your memory?
Right,
I didn't
right.
take a ton
No,
of it.
I would never tell
too
anybody that I used to play
seriously.
baseball and I couldn't make it or
I
whatever.
mean,
you know.
we didn't date that long, but I didn't take a ton of it too seriously. I was like, oh yeah, your mob family. Like I always was teasing him about stuff, just giving him a hard time, and he would get really defensive. And
You're
that should have
probably
been
the worst possible thing that you could have done to him at that point.
I was the worst girl for this. Like I
Yeah.
didn't just fawn over it and go, "Oh
Sure.
my gosh, you
Yeah.
played baseball."
No, that's the way to
so
do it. Yeah.
hot."
when your
the way to
family's
be.
in the mob, you're such an
Your
outcast.
family's in the mob.
Which, by the way, people don't brag about. But go ahead.
Then the thing that he said that really set me off was when he told me he was family friends with Ben Folds. To which I was like, bullshit. You're family friends with Ben Folds. Prove that shit immediately because
Did you want to meet him and ask him about the abortion song? I get
Yeah,
it.
excuse me.
Who doesn't? I know. I'm
bring
with
him
you.
over for dinner if you're
Yeah,
such
yeah.
good friends with him.
I want to talk to him about that abortion song. Go ahead.
And that
Bring
he
it over.
could play piano, but he would never play piano for me. And I was like, all right, then you don't play piano.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
I just
yeah.
was
Yeah.
blatantly like, you don't play piano then.
Sure.
But I mean, so much of our relationship was this barbs, like these
Right.
barbs we trade to each other and tease each other about stuff.
You're
And so-
telling me I could tell bitches I play the piano?
Yeah.
Shit.
Exactly. Because then when we
I've
went
been
to his
playing the
house, he
game all
had
wrong.
a fucking piano and it was like
Oh,
not
really?
tuned or something.
Oh wow. I have
was
three.
like, you
I
know,
have
you don't
three.
know how to long con.
I have 3 guitars and I can't play any of them, but I'll admit that when they
This
come
was
over.
a long con, exactly.
Yeah, you're
but
not playing the
but I
game
had an accomplice with it because the way I found out, because he ended up cheating on me and dating another girl, like completely dating her, like in a relationship with
right.
her. To which he told me,
I have a funny
at some
story
point he
after
said he
this.
was seeing a therapist and that's who he was talking to a lot. And I was like,
Okay.
I've seen therapists my whole life and I've never talked to one on the phone.
Yeah, right.
More than like, hey, I'll see you at 2 on Tuesday.
I'm outside. You know, I'm never. Yeah, I don't.
So
no.
the way I found out was he had shaved his head. He'd gone home over the summer and shaved his head. And then his roommates who really liked me were like, you need to come fucking see this thing. And they were like, just go look on his desk. And on his desk was a picture of him kissing a girl with his shaved head, which was new. So I'm like, oh, cool. So you did that while we were dating. And so I said something to him about it. And then it just came out. And then like 2.5 years later, this girl contacted me.
Wait. Were you weren't with him for those 2.5 years, were you?
No, God, no.
Okay.
We broke up immediately as I found after I found that picture. I was like, what the fuck? And then later, like the lies started to unravel, and his roommate
Sure.
would keep me abreast. He was like, you will not believe what's going on here. And
He just kept a breast aside, like just.
right.
Can he send one me? I want a breast, just like
Oh, God.
hang on to. Sorry,
But the dad thing was the worst one. Yeah, when he told me his dad beat him, was like that just took it. Oh, and he told me his sister got raped. Which was just like these two things were so serious I couldn't possibly tease him about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
assume he wasn't telling the truth.
That's
but then
why
I
he
did have
ups
my
the
sister
ante.
look up his family name in the database, like in New York. She was like working there, and that's where the case supposedly was. And I'm like, well, this is public information. If it's happening, it's public information. And she
Sure,
couldn't find
sure.
anything, and I was suspicious. But I thought, God, no one would make that up. That's fucking crazy. But when we broke up after he was cheating on me, I went, okay, maybe he did make it up because he was crazy. But I put all of it behind me because I'm like, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
Sure.
This girl dated him for 2 years.
Tough break.
And she called me over like the Christmas break when I was a senior at this point then in
Quick
college.
side note: how long did you date him for?
Not that long, 4 or 5 months maybe.
Okay, all right. Sorry, go ahead.
But he was my first boyfriend. I never really
No,
dated
I
anybody
mean,
before
look,
that.
I'm not passing aspersions. I'm just.
You should.
know.
It was
No.
absolutely.
We've all made mistakes. It's fine. Go ahead.
So then she called me and was like, she started asking me all these weird questions. What color? Like, she's like, I found out that you were dating him while we started dating. I'm like, yeah, that's on you, bitch, not
Yeah,
me.
right.
Are you kidding? I was dating him first.
I technically made the mistake first.
Yeah, and I didn't know her at all, so she just called my cell phone, and I was
That's
like,
weird.
hello. And she goes, what color are his eyes? And I'm like, I could not fucking tell you. Maybe blue? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And
Right.
what are you, testing me? Like, I don't need to be tested. I'll
Yeah.
just hang up.
I've only recently figured out that women care about the color of their eyes. I should memorize that shit.
So I go,
So
you know what?
come
I
on.
don't really care enough to. She goes, what does his penis look like? That's what she said to me.
Right.
I went, yeah, I'm going to describe his penis to you in anatomical detail 2.5 fucking years later. Like,
So you're saying it wasn't spectacular? I get it.
so she
Not
just went
something you
off.
make a mold of.
But then she like tried to ruin his life. Once she found out all the
I
shit
bet
he'd done,
she was in too deep.
She went on. Yes, she was in deep. She went on Facebook, tried to ruin his life on Facebook. Was posting on all his friends' walls. Look what he did. Blah 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 about other stuff that he had done.
Oh, of course.
He had to get off Facebook. He was like a ghost on the internet for like 2
Had
years
to be.
after
Yeah,
that.
it had to be.
I'm fascinated by
And
and
this
I'm
guy.
sure he can never come back fully.
He is back, kind of. I
She's
just
waiting for him,
recently
though.
was like, oh my god, that's a picture of him. I have not seen a picture of him in 3 years. You know,
I'm
and
fascinated
so
by
then,
this guy.
senior year of college, he comes up to me at a bar outside this club. We're all like, you know, it's like after
This
all
is
the
out
thing-
here?
No, this is in college.
Oh, okay.
So senior year of college, he comes out.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, so we're all like, after the bars closed, everyone would gather on the street, and he's like,
Right.
he comes up and says hi to me. We have not spoken in 3.5 years at this point because we broke up, you know, sophomore year or whatever, 2.5 years. And I go,
Right.
I'm like, and he goes, hey, what's going on? I'm like, what are you doing? Because we hadn't spoken since then. And I'm like, so, what's going on? What are you doing?
Awesome.
He's like, I just really want to apologize. I'm like, oh, this is how you're going to do it? Like, you're going to apologize for like 5 months of my life, just like totally just completely obliterated, you piece of shit. And, but at this point I felt so little. I felt nothing. I felt so little
Right.
that I was like, I hate my sophomore year self that was like obsessed with this problem.
Sure.
You're
So
more
he
like
goes,
it's like a reminder of
I
how
just-
much you just were like, ugh.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
I've
think
been
we
there.
should, I just really would love if we could be friends. I'm like, are you joking? Do you know what a friendship is? Like, I would never be friends with you. And he goes, could I just get a hug?
Wow.
I'm like, a hug? Is that going to satisfy
It would actually
this,
probably.
like, weird twist of... I was like, yeah, buddy, you can have a fucking hug and then just walk away for the rest of your life. Just keep walking in the
Did
other
you literally
direction.
say that?
Yeah, he was
Really?
He was a
Okay.
nightmare.
I know. I'm just curious.
Did you give him a hug?
Yeah, I gave him a hug.
Because when people say I was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like, oh, you didn't actually
No,
say that. What
I
did you
did.
actually say?
I did. I told him to give me a hug and then walk away the other direction for the rest of his life.
Now go. Just Katie just released.
By the way,
Go.
saddest hug, saddest hug in history.
Right? It was so weird. It was like, what, you
Yeah.
want to like grasp my body?
I can tell
It's
you what-
so weird when
I
someone
can tell you what
puts-
that's about, but
Someone puts that sort of like conciliatory terms to something where they're like, "Hey, I wish we could be friends." And like, "No, I really don't like you as a person." And like, "Well, if I could just get a hug." And I'm like, "Are we really bartering right now?"
Well, there was like at some point in my life where I just went, I have a lot of friends and I don't need more that
Yeah,
like are
sure,
shitty.
sure.
right. Especially
Like-
who had like you had your chance to actually be your friend.
that's what Facebook does to you when all those fucking old people come back and you're like, look, I don't need one more person in my news feed.
Yeah, that you just
I
decide. you're
literally
like,
don't
nope.
even need that. I care so little about what you are.
But at the same
as a
time,
person,
I
don't
recognize
even
that
wanna
they
do
should
that.
care so little about me, and I never
Yeah,
know
yeah,
why. And
exactly.
I go, whatever it is that made
I
you
can tell
friendly-
you. I can tell you what that's about. That's very easy. That's like it starts off with him going like, maybe I can reconcile with this girl, and you're like, no, and then he's like, okay, now I just want to not feel like a piece of shit. So if I ask for some little thing and she sates that, I at least have that. But kudos on you, by the way.
Well, he's
for
engaged
saying-
now. I heard.
For saying like, and then walk away, because the thing is like in his head, he's like, well, I got a hug.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like
the first little in or
it's
something.
yeah, it's a
Like he's kicked
negotiation.
the
It's
the
a
door ajar.
negotiation.
cycle always begins again.
The negotiation tactics. That's how negotiation works. Is that you start with something big and they go no, and you all right, let's go something real small and let's work up from there.
Well, he's engaged, and I wonder if this girl thinks he played ball for like the Cleveland Indians or some
I would
shit.
only
She
imagine.
definitely does.
I feel like there's no way
Definitely
that
does.
relationship is built in any kind of honesty
yeah.
or integrity.
Which is really
He's
I
not.
mean,
It's like serial
very
killers. They're not
sad.
gonna. They don't just kill once.
well, who says my sister got raped and that shit's not true? I mean, that's fucked. And I was in the elevator with his
Who
sister
says
once,
they're
and
fucking- yeah.
I wanted
Who-
to press the stop button and be like, "Look, just break it down." For me.
Who calls at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning to tell you that their mom died?
That's so.
So I mean, I'm with you, but it's
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying. It's the same kind of thing where it's like you wouldn't be able to recognize that if you met that guy
It's a-
again today,
yeah.
except if they made outlandish claims. And I'm not. In your case, you're gonna look out for outlandish claims. In my case, there's nothing to look out for.
No,
Well,
no,
I
it's
mean,
She
so
didn't
subtle
have any.
and.
She had no. At no point did she make any outlandish claims.
I feel like she just felt so bad about her decision that she had decided, I want to go back and be with this guy. She'd felt so bad about it. Just
No,
hear me
okay,
out.
go ahead, please.
She felt so bad about it. She was like, "What is the one way that this guy will feel
Can
like,
I? Can
okay
I?
with this being
Can I?
done?"
Can I destroy that by saying that they divorced like a month later? That like they annulled the marriage like a month later.
Well, that
And then-
doesn't change
and
her
when it-
intention.
And when it happened, she called me up and asked me to take her out drinking, and I was like, "Fine."
Oh,
so we
the
went out drinking.
Nuts
and-
on that girl.
No, I did. I took her out because the
Ah,
thing is,
bitch.
well, because I kind of wanted to rub in how right I was, and like I just wanted to like
See, that's what Teddy would just walk away.
I wanted to bask in the glory.
He's not into
No,
that.
no, I get that, but I wanted to bask in the glory of her failure. I
So
knew
you're
we-
carrying salt around too.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you I was a vengeful
Pump the
person, so
full of
I just wanted to.
miracles.
So
Pump
literally,
the
she.
full of miracles.
So literally, I picked her up and we were driving to a bar. And I said, "So what exactly happened?" In that exact voice, I was even laughed midway through, and she goes, "All right, so blanky blank," and she said the whole thing, and I was like, "Can I say it?" She goes, "You get to say it once," and I was like, "Told you so."
Yeah, but the
And
stronger
so-
position to have would have been to just not see her
I'll
again.
grant you
Yeah.
that, but I love that.
The closest
I live for that,
I hate-
and you understand, like,
don't need to see
what
motherfuckers.
it was a great moment of victory that we went out drinking, and then I'm gonna get personal, and that's not so much I'm getting personal. I'm gonna get perverted. So we went to this bar.
And you put a finger in her butt. We know how this ends.
It's not how it went.
I know how this ends.
I know what you. No. What I was going to say is we went to a bar, and I was like, "I'll be right back. I got to use the bathroom." And I went to the bathroom, and I opened the door, and she was standing behind me, and she goes, "Don't leave me here alone." And I was like, "All right." So I went into the bathroom. She was
For
just
the
standing
20
there.
seconds while you pee? Jesus.
No. She fucking blew me in the bathroom
Oh no!
while crying
Oh,
and
my
apologizing.
God.
And
This
you
is
understand,
Well, as
like,
long as you got to properly degrade her.
yeah, it was like that was a
this is
great moment of my
terrible.
life in a way,
This
where I
is
was
terrible.
I was kind of excited about the fact that I was like if she saw herself 5 years from now at this moment, she'd be like, oh, I hate everything about my life. And I wanted her to hate everything about her life because I felt like that's sort of what. So then I drove her home and she tried pulling me into bed and I was like, look,
Well, see, because it was only 2 months later.
we're never
It's
gonna
too
talk
fresh.
again.
Yeah, you were too angry still. It was only 2
Absolutely,
months later.
absolutely.
Too
But I
fresh.
will say, if she called me today and she was like, let's go out drinking, I'd be like, I have to hear this story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, man.
But I would also.
Curiosity killed the cat, dude.
God
but-
damn, you
but-
really gonna go out again, son?
Yeah, no.
Here's the difference.
You gotta go.
I'm not
Can't
going
it-
to.
can't it just
no.
like in disbelief right now.
Here's the
fact
difference.
that you were going
here's
to go
the thing.
out
It's
again.
like I'm so disconnected emotionally that like yes, I would love
you
to hear.
you preaching to the choir,
because the story would be amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Right. So I would just be laughing in my head while she told me the terrible life she's had since. Right. And
Well,
I'd be
I
like,
do hope that I
"Please,
run into
tell
this
me,
guy."
Tell me more things that are terrible, right? And now the difference is, as being a woman versus being a man is, and there's a societal thing, right? Society will like as a man, women sort of quote unquote give you pussy, right? But as a man, or rather as a woman, guys aren't giving you dick; they're offering and hope you'll take it, right? So if you met up,
They're doing it right.
You just admitted that if he called you up and wanted to fucking spill the beans, you'd be only too happy to listen. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you'd want to spend time with him, but you'd want to hear that story. If somebody else told you the story, you wouldn't believe it. But if you could hear him tell the truth from his mouth,
Yeah.
you would you just eat it up with ranch. You know, I mean, just like or raw, probably like sushi. So no soy sauce required. So that's where I'd be at, right?
Yeah.
Now at the end of all that, she was like, I also I need some dick in my life. I'd be like, yeah, I'll give you
but
a
that's
solid
the
dicking.
problem.
I don't
think-
care.
I think
but God, I would have
she's
never
asking
see
you
her
for a
again.
drink.
Hold on.
Right, go ahead.
Do you know what I mean? She's asking you for a social like encounter, like of like two
Which you
peers.
also agreed that you'd do. But okay.
He would be, if he was like, we need to go, I'd be like, okay, we can have lunch in the middle of the fucking day, and you can tell me everything, and then I will go my separate way.
I'll grant you that, yeah.
No,
okay.
that's the closest that I've
I
ever
will-
come.
I'll grant you that.
This is the closest I've ever come to experiencing what you're talking about, and this
Okay.
is after
Okay.
I
Okay.
I ended up. This is like when I left for college.
Okay.
And I was doing the whole ill-fated long-distance relationship thing, where I was like, I mean, it's essentially the thing where, like, when you look back on it and you break it down, you're like, I've undergone a lot of very dramatic changes, you know, and like it's nice to have some connection, especially going from Texas to Indiana.
Sure.
Like it's nice to have some connection to fucking back home where everyone else is basically going to college somewhere nearby, and I'm in a foreign small town in
Sure.
the Midwest, deep in Klan territory.
Were you in Skokie, Illinois?
No, it's Greencastle.
Is that a real place?
Great, Skokie.
Skokie, Illinois is the
Skokie.
headquarters, man.
I thought that
Indiana
was
is where the
I
Klan
thought
was
that
birthed.
Oh no,
Right.
that's right. Because I was in.
But they still have parades in
Skokie
Skokie,
I
Illinois.
feel
is
like
they had
I
the-
keep
the
feel
famous
like
incident back
I
in
keep
the-
That's
feeling
really
like
close to where I grew up.
I use Skokie, Illinois as a joke, and when I talk about it, because of Usual Suspects.
Yes.
Because I feel like, oh, it's a fictional place because it was all based on a fake story in a movie. But then I realized, oh wait, the fake story about Skokie, Illinois is based on his coffee mug, which would have to be a real place. It was manufactured there. But in my head, when I hear Skokie, Illinois, I'm like, you just made that place up. Sorry, Teddy, where was
That
this
shit
at?
was real.
It's real.
So
it's
this
real.
was where?
So this is all in Greencastle. Fucking
thing sucks.
Thank you.
Sorry.
But
It's been a while.
The whole thing is that like when I'm having the long distance thing and it inevitably ends, you know, and like I and again, even as soon as it like finally ended, I was like, oh Christ, I should have seen the way that she was navigating a way out of it, because it started like, well, let's have an open relationship. And then, I don't want to do that. And then you're like, oh yeah, okay, I guess we can do an open relationship.
Don't lay this shit on me.
Okay. And you're like, okay, well, like, you know, I should have, like, at any point in time, I realistically should have just been like, all right, listen, like, it's we both know that this is not.
Why did you go forth with it?
Well, because I didn't care about myself. No,
All right.
because I was majorly depressed.
All right. All right.
Majorly
all right.
depressed, actually. Major depression. But
Where the white women at?
all right.
Was this a white woman?
She
I want to
was.
know that now.
She was
Okay.
actually. But all right.
Where's the beef?
Okay, you can cool it right now. You can cool it.
I want to hear the rest of this. Come on.
You do the thing with the fucking sound bites all the time. You know you do. Damn it.
I'm sorry.
God
I'm sorry.
damn.
They were just so perfect.
No, they
Look,
weren't.
we listened to your.
I know. No, please. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Neuroses.
I don't look. I don't mean
Anyway,
to
my point
be
is
dismissive
that,
of your narrative.
Is that so? The only time that I ever decided to indulge in the fucking juvenile thing that you like to do, yeah, I said it.
Which
the
juvenile thing?
revenge.
The fucking revenge
Oh.
that you just spent 10 minutes on. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Okay.
All right.
The
She
only
was asking questions.
Yeah,
It's not
no,
like I was
that's my
talking to
no,
myself.
no.
All right,
Don't
go
you
ahead,
dare!
go ahead.
Don't you dare right now. The only time that I fucking deigned to do this thing,
Okay.
after this fucking terrible long distance, like, and it was a fucking mistake on my part. So I was back in Houston as after my family fucking had moved out to California. So I was staying at a friend's house, and somehow she's like, "Oh, if you're in town, I would love to get together or whatever." So it was okay. Let's meet for lunch in the middle of the day. And I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking make any jokes. I'm literally just gonna see how you behave. I'm gonna run a fucking skeleton offense. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be the most bare bones social interactions you will ever have had with me.
Yep.
And so part of it, you know, like we went out to lunch, and I'm just like just seeing how everything is, like not comfortable at all, just like very weird. There was nothing like if there was any sense of being like, I'm gonna spark some romance again, like that shit was not present, or
Sure.
it was not a good effort at all. And so she brings me back to my friend's place, and we're sitting in her car, and she's like, "Oh, you know, I got this for you, you know, like before your birthday, you know, like, but I couldn't, like, I didn't send it to you, so like, I'm giving you this gift now." And it was a copy of Undercover Brother, which we had seen on a date in theaters, and it was still one of my favorite movies. And I was like,
I
"Oh,
watched
thanks."
that alone in a theater,
Well, I
which I think should give me some black points. But go ahead, because I went to
Because
you-
you made it out alive.
we'll give you.
I went to a black theater in a rough neighborhood.
Oh, and he had to go in a black
Oh, yeah.
theater.
Yeah, by
It
myself.
was not
It
playing.
was-
in the
it was
upscale
not
neighborhood.
wide-
It was not
play.
a nationwide.
Yeah, you could not
release.
go to your
Limited
local
release.
AMC and check out Undercover Brother. All right.
The metropolitan Houston area had it.
It was a lot of fun. Though. I will say that. Go
So
ahead,
she gives
please.
me a copy of that as you know, as like a gift, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then in that moment, like before I had left for college, she gave me this like sort of Asian kind of like charm, like it wasn't a charm bracelet, like one of the wooden ones that you wear or whatever that's got like different.
You can
I
actually
thought you were going
call.
to say a
Symbols of-
sexual, like.
Yeah, it's definitely a
transmitted
sexual-
disease.
You can call, by
yeah.
the way,
An
you can
STD.
you can call items Oriental, just not people.
Some
so
sort
you
of
can say this is
Oriental.
an
That drives
Oriental.
me fucking nuts.
Does it? It's because you're white like me.
Oriental people.
So she
Oh,
gives me,
I see.
She gives me this rant, and it was like her, you know, good luck thing or whatever, and then like that was a big gift that she gave me before I went off
Sure.
to school. So like I had still had it, and then we broke up while I was still at school, so I wasn't wearing it anymore. You know what I mean? But I like wore it with me for this thing, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, since we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and give you this back right now.
Ooh, that's dirty.
And she was like, oh,
Could have just thrown it away.
nope, I wanted her to have it because it was hers. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, Mitch. Like, this is why I don't do what you do, because I understand the emotional carry that it has. Because like that's like Katie was like, oh shit, that's dirty. Because I sat in her car at the curb and I was like, oh, you just gave me this birthday gift. Here's your good luck charm bracelet back. And she was like, oh, you don't want to keep it? I go, well, if I look at the course of my life since I've gotten your bracelet and chart out my luck, it just goes, and I just go my hand all the way down to the floorboard.
Sure.
And I go, so you can keep it. And then I got out of the car and I walked away.
no.
Sure.
So like, I don't fucking like, I don't need to I don't need to entertain that because I don't need to fucking crush someone's soul. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Like I don't like it's not a fucking it's not a fucking thing to me to be like, oh, you shitty person that I wasted my time
Well, there's
thinking that you were more decent with.
Well, because you're holding on to the anger that whole time. That's
Right.
That's worse for you than them, and that's something you don't really come to understand until much later. And it is still hard to like walk away from the temptation.
And it's
to,
not
like,
even
hold
anger
it.
at them so much as it's anger at me for making a poor life decision that allowed them to have any place in their life, in my life, that affected me to that degree.
Right.
So like in my sense, it was like, I don't give a shit about your fucking birthday gift. I don't give a shit about this lunch. I just want to
Sure.
see if you grew as a person. You clearly did not. Take your shitty bracelet
And
back.
now that you've done that, you're like, I'm not doing that shit.
Right,
again.
like I don't need to do that shit. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
I fucking kick you out of my life, I don't need to ever talk to you again. Because
I'll grant you that, yeah.
people that I need to talk to are in my life. People that I
Sure.
don't need to talk to don't exist to me.
I'm
I don't
with
waste
you.
effort on y'all.
I'm absolutely with you.
Y'all are invisible to me
I'll
forever.
grant you that.
Even when you die, I
But
won't
not
even
in a
read your
hostile
obituary.
way.
Right?
It's
No,
just
it's
like a
indifference.
completely-
Everything
Yes.
about
And
it,
this is
Hetty,
the
is
point.
hostile. Believe
And
me.
No, it's indifference.
No. And this is where people make the mistake because the opposite of love is not hate; it's indifference.
Yeah.
Hate is still love,
Yeah,
just
it's
inverted.
that's a complete.
But
Right.
if I don't
Okay, go
if I
ahead.
don't love you anymore, you are indifferent to me.
Sure.
That means like
Sure.
like literally just die right now, and I
Sure.
don't give any fucks.
Sure.
Do you know what
Sure.
I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I don't need to take any satisfaction from anything that happens because the only satisfaction that's relevant is that you don't exist to me anymore. You are that insignificant of a person.
Sure. Absolutely.
So like I guess that's my thing where I'm just like, damn son, I would much rather just crush you every day knowing that you have to wake up with that long-term failure as opposed to the short-term satisfactory football spike of being like, tell me how my ass tastes. I want the real cold-blooded, soul-crushing Count of Monte Cristo Edmund
Okay, but-
Dantes.
I'll grant
But
you
if
that.
you want
Please.
that, then that's just a more severe version of what he's talking about.
Well,
No, it's not. It's
actually,
not.
no,
It's
actually-
a recognition of their
Oh,
emotional
to be
investment.
Fair, to be
Got it.
fair, I
as
feel
opposed-
like
you know what I'm saying. It's being
But
aware
if you
of.
take
No,
joy
no, no.
in it,
I don't take any joy in it.
There
It's
you
just
go.
like, I'm just
All
questioning.
right,
If you
listen.
take,
Yeah.
There is
it's an
to-
awareness
to me,
of the ramifications.
To
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
to me, it's the same fucking thing, and the reason I say that is because
It's the pleasure aspect, I guess.
Well,
for you,
okay,
as
yeah.
it was supposed.
because
I had to take no
but,
pleasure.
But it's not pleasure just in like oh good, she's unhappy, but it's a pleasure for myself where I'm like I could hang out with this person and there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like I have no emotion. Like they could tell me a sob story and there's just nothing.
well, look, and
You know what I'm
to
saying?
say, I feel like
that's which would be very much to your point, Teddy. That would be the indifference, and I'm with you. Indifference is where it's at.
I wanna
And-
hear-
but in that regard, it's the thing where it's like I'm willing to show up because like nothing's gonna happen to me. Now you'd say you do lunch
you're about
because
to
it's when we're talking the male female dynamic, if you will. Lunch is very non-committal, where it's like I don't. It doesn't affect me at all to like go out for drinks at night with a girl.
But
You
then
know what
you,
I mean?
like, then she's like, I need some deep dicking, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on board.
No, I did not. No, that's what I'm saying.
Not in that case, but
No, well, no. In this, well, yes, in that particular case, but it's very rare that ever happened.
Look, but I was gonna say, here's
What I was
another.
going to
no,
say,
no,
no,
no.
but I didn't give her deep dicking. I took her home,
mid-range
and she
dicking.
fucking
Yeah.
fell in front of her door because I was like trying to open her door for her. Like I unlocked her
And
door.
she was so shit-faced.
And she was so shit-faced, and I was like, ugh. And I just got her inside, and I threw her on the bed, and she was like, are you going to spend the night with me? I was like, absolutely not. She goes, do you want to have sex? And I was like, no, I'm going. I'm fucking done. And it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was not about to give her the deep
See,
dick.
but that satisfaction of like, no, I'm done. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah, exactly. And
Like, but here's the thing:
but
if
it
you were to
felt
sit
good
three
because
people,
it was like if it felt good to me because I was like in my
it
head.
was still fresh.
No, in my head it was what I'm saying. Yes, it was fresh, but it was also in my head knowing that I was like, I'm done. Like I don't feel any desire to like hang
Yeah.
out with this woman for any period of time.
So you actually needed to go through
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole temptation ritual again, and I guess
Not
that's
temptation, but okay, yeah.
Katie.
It
I
is.
didn't-
It's a
well, right.
that's a fucking.
But I didn't know that's what she was going to do.
You
So
did.
it's not like I thought to
Katie?
myself,
Katie.
Did you know this woman? You dated her. You knew that was what she was going to
no,
do.
I did not. I honestly thought that she just wanted. I literally, because she said she wanted to talk and had a few.
Well, women
things.
love to sleep with
She
men they've already
said-
slept with, so they don't have to raise
Right.
their number.
Women and the society and so much. But she had
Loaded.
said,
Women, society.
yeah, because I don't place any importance on numbers of male or female, so it's like whatever. But and I theoretically she should know that, but. What I'm saying is she was like, I want to apologize for a few things. So I was like, oh, this will be good. And I was thinking, like, what will she apologize for? So that's honestly why I went. I did not in my fucking...
Katie was about
I
to
literally
make a...
did not think that anything was going to happen.
Okay,
I want to go back
ahead.
to
So
the
go ahead,
numbers
please.
thing in a second because
Please,
you said that
please
was
do that.
societal.
Please do.
But I want to also say,
'Cause
if you were
it
to
is.
place any 3 people in a room, the majority of the time you'd get like 2 out of 3 people would be like you. Like I feel like Teddy and I, like I'm a cut you off person. Teddy's a cut you off person if you're fucking like not like
Who
adding
says
anything.
I think you guys are both misunderstanding.
No, I
me,
think
so-
we understand
okay.
you very well.
No, you'll go back. You're ready to like
Here's
go
the
back
difference.
and
You're not understanding the level of difference. You need to hear, like, if someone, like, I would never let the conversation evolve to the point where they would say, I have some things to apologize for. Do you understand? They might send me some sort of...
I'm a curious person.
Yeah, and that's
there
the
you go.
difference.
That's the difference.
I don't need. I
Okay.
don't have a curiosity
Okay.
with some because any curiosity that
All
I
right.
had,
All right.
we already went through when I came and opened the gates to you, and you came in, and then you squandered it, and then I kicked you out, and now I don't ever have any curiosity again because you had your chance, you failed. We already have empirical evidence of your failure.
Fine.
I don't need.
But that's
like,
to me.
But I
the
think
difference,
most people are dysfunctional and they would go your route of being like, I need to fucking hear this. And then they get back together.
No,
and
no,
they
no,
do
no.
it again.
Well, but I'm
and they
not.
end up on Maury
I'm not.
or the People's Court.
But I'm not
People
the.
are pregnant.
I'm not the crazy person who would go. Oh, I'm going to ignore all
People are
that
pregnant
shit.
is going on the
I'm
board.
merely saying what I'm saying about the curiosity is like when I hear a story. I'm sure you've heard stories like this before. You hear stories where somebody says something or does something crazy, and you go, "Why?" And they go, "I don't know." And you're like,
oh, but
but
you're
they
telling
do
us
know.
why.
yeah. So my life I made this pact with a friend of mine in high school.
The
where
devil.
that we were like, kind of like,
It was a science teacher, Mr. Pascal.
no. He was a best friend of mine.
Mr. Satan.
He and I were like literally like the same person. Like he and I were born 3 days apart. Our sisters were born. Our older sisters were born 3 days apart. Our stepdads were born 3 days apart, and our mothers were born 3 days apart.
We
so it was like
vacationed
it
at
was a
Lucifer's
weird.
summer
So this
home.
was your brother.
This was like he was like the closest thing I had to
Oh,
a
he
brother.
wasn't actually. I was
Right.
like, how the fuck do you have that shit in
It's
common?
weird. It's weird.
Did you ever test
I'm just
anybody
saying,
else?
I'm just saying that like he and I.
I wish you could
Or
see
maybe
Katie.
he just kept going, yeah,
I will-
mine was too born
I'm-
on
I'll-
April
I'll get-
2nd.
here's-
Katie has the
I will
most
get- I will
suspicious
get-
look on her face
I will get
right
personal and emotional just for this brief moment here. My personal emotional, and I admitted this. I admitted this to.
great.
I admitted this to a friend of mine from Phoenix.
What
This
for
is,
the
a,
ages?
this is a friend of mine from Phoenix, and this friend of mine from Phoenix that I saw recently knew this guy because we were all in a band together. And when he met me, he. All right.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Mitch.
Whatevs.
I'm
So it was this guy's name is Trevor. Trevor's the one I'm referring to, the 3 days apart thing, right? And Sean is my friend who was visiting, and Trevor and I were inseparable as just people. We just did. He and I would take vacations and shit. We'd go to like different towns and shit just out of fun, and he'd end up with one girl and I'd end up with the other kind of thing. It was, but there was never a discussion about like, oh,
You
I'm
get the
jealous.
blonde.
Well, it wasn't even, as it turns out, that he did get the blonde and I got the brunette. But it wasn't. But it wasn't like, like, all right, fine, I'll take the blonde. It wasn't like that. It was just so happened.
And the
So
blonde
anyway-
was born 3 days before the brunette.
Maybe they could very well be because they were like about the same age. But my point is that what I told him, and I'll say here on the podcast, there's he actually recently hit me up on Facebook, and we've talked on Facebook a little bit, but I'm still like hurt that he sort of left our thing over a girl who was my first roommate, and then she went to go house sit with him, and they ended up fucking, and I was like, I don't care if you're fucking, but like, we got band practice. And he was like, yeah, I'm out with such and such. And I was like, dude, that girl's crazy. Stay away from her. Okay, she's my roommate. I've known her for a number of years. Don't fuck her. And he's like,
Well, it was too late by that
and
point.
she was a virgin, mind you.
Well, she couldn't have been that crazy then, I feel like. Like you.
You say that, but this girl had never seen MTV until she lived with me.
Oh, so she was like.
She like lived in a bubble.
Off
Her
the
parents
grid.
wouldn't.
Off the grid
yes.
crazy.
Oh, okay.
She's one of those.
That's a different kind of crazy.
I
though.
know,
It's
but
not
I'm
as
just
dangerous.
Well, you say
It
that.
can be.
Anyway,
You haven't seen Sister
so
Wives, have you?
yeah, thank you. Look, my point is that I was telling him, because I do another podcast here called Mitch Gets High, and I was like, if I ever did a Mitch Gets High episode with Trevor, which probably will never happen because he'd have to come out here on his own accord, and why would he? But
because you guys were born 3 days apart.
I know, right?
What is more?
But I was thinking, I told him, I said, if Trevor ever came out and we did a Mitch Gets High, I would confess to Trevor, you were my greatest heartbreak as a person. You know what I mean? Like, he broke my heart by leaving everything we had built as a couple, if you will, as a friendship, like the band, as roommates, as a band, as friends. All of that went away because of this chick. And I was like, I couldn't believe that you would drop everything that we had built over years. And we had like the most intimate like conversations. We were on the same. We would get into fights with each other and then get busy signals calling each other back to apologize. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were fucking...
3 days apart.
I've never been closer to a human being. I mean, like, my own parents included. I have never been closer to a human being than Trevor. He was like my life. Like, he and I were inseparable. We would be referred to in the same sentence kind of person. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Where I was like, have you seen Mitch and Trevor lately?
Right.
We were like that. We were like the same person. And also, yes, there was a lot of drugs involved, so that gets you closer when you're doing acid around each other three times.
As is wont to happen.
3 times a week or whatever they'll have you. So I'm just saying, like, that was like incredibly heartbreaking to me. And I don't even know why I brought this up, because we were talking about something entirely, and I was like, oh, I was going to make a quick point, and then there was a lot of peanut gallery discussion, and I was like, what am I gonna? Why did I bring this up?
It's our fault.
No. It's not. I'm just saying I don't remember why.
Many a time
we were talking about like I maybe crazy people. I don't know, but
we were talking about cutting people off.
Oh, right.
And he's come back now. And
no. I what I'm saying is that I have no problem like cutting people off in that regard if they fuck up, like whatever. What I was saying about like a curious person is that like, if I've cut somebody out, like there's no emotion, but I still want a good story. Oh, I remember what it was. I still want a good story. In high school, he and I made a pact. We blood pact. In fact,
I was gonna say you had to.
Yeah.
I mean, the two of you sound.
I like how Katie was just
now,
like
mind
sitting
you,
here for 5 minutes, being like, where is the Blood Brothers?
Yeah. We totally.
Is it?
Yeah. No, we cut ourselves open and made a blood pact that we would never turn down the opportunity for a good story if it wouldn't kill us. So, and I still live to that.
That sounds like 17-year-olds, something 17-year-olds would do.
Well, I was 18, but it's all right. Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't do that now. It's like, no,
I do
a good
that.
Story could still be damaging
No.
even if it doesn't kill me.
Yeah,
no,
right.
I'm still...
Like,
I
actually might kill myself.
I literally
from the story.
I still live by that. If I feel like I'm not in physical danger, I'll go after the story. I'll do crazy shit to go after the story if I don't feel like I'm in physical danger. And I've told that to Teddy many times. I'm like, so this happened, and I was like, I'm going to see where this goes because it'll make a good story.
What about preserving your like integrity and your self like worth?
That is my to what degree? Like, don't if an ex that lied about a dead mom to marry her ex gets divorced and calls me up to say that's what's going on. She wants to have a drink. I'm not in any physical danger.
Yeah, but I don't need to talk
Why
to
is
her.
there no... Yeah, but I don't lose integrity by getting the rest of that story. You see what I'm saying? Had she not called me, as far as I'm concerned, the story ends that she went off to get married. But she called me, and then we had a discussion, and it was fucking interesting.
Here's the thing.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'll do it, because it doesn't hurt my psyche. Like, no part of me dies. I'm not emotionally invested. I'm just fascinated.
Here's where I think
if it was somebody else, I would want to hear that story.
Here's where
That's why I watch Investigation Discovery.
We have different sort of perspectives of curiosity, because whereas your curiosity is inclined towards like, ooh, I want to hear what this person has to say towards me, or like I want to see
just in general, not towards me, but okay,
sure. Yeah, just like I want to see what in general. I feel like my curiosity would be, and Katie can speak for this on her own, but if that person, if we had gone through this extended relationship together, and I had gone through whatever effort and chance to be like, you could be this person that I need you to be, you're not gonna be that person. Okay, here's the door. Goodbye. Time has gone past or whatever, and then all of a sudden they start reaching out to me again. My curiosity is going to be more along the lines of, why in the fuck are you talking to me now? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you coming back to talk to me after I told you I don't want to talk to you again? And so it's not like I don't really give a shit about any particulars. What I give a shit about is what has propelled you in your own disaster of a life.
Let me ask.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
I have a
Hold on
question.
second.
I have a question.
Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Because
Please,
let's be
please.
fair here. Let's be real fair about what I'm saying. All right? Because I have put a good opportunity in front of you. Like, listen, this is what I'm going to bring to the table as a partner. This is what I'm looking for. This is the fucking relationship I want. You don't want this? Okay, bye. As part of passing on that, it means that I don't really, I'm not going to entertain a bunch of trivial bullshit from you. Because that, like, there's no point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, if you all of a sudden want to come and talk to me again, I have been really blunt with you about who I am and what I'm looking for and what I do. So why in the fuck are you coming around me? If it's some real trivial bullshit, you know I'm not going to entertain it.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. My question is, wouldn't the ultimate disconnect from a person be like, I still love a good story, which I do. I love a good story.
That's drama, is what you're saying.
It's gossip.
Whatevs. But what I'm saying is I love a good... I like to learn about the human condition.
All right,
you can call it drama.
So when a girl's like, I don't like drama, she means I don't like to learn about the human condition.
No. When a girl says that, when a girl says, I don't like drama, what she really means is, I create drama and I don't want to deal with it. You know that as well as I do.
I'm just saying, drama.
When
I really
somebody
want to hear a high school girl be like, I don't want to hear about the human condition.
When somebody tells you that they don't like drama, what they're saying is, I create drama and then I run away from it because I create situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
I know
what
you're
I have.
saying, but
that's
I'm having
that's
a
a
hard time
factoid you can fucking take with you to the bank. Almost literally, I think you can open an account with that.
That's good.
But you
That's
can. That's a factoid. If somebody tells you within a short period of time that they don't like drama, what they're saying is they create fucked up situations and then run away from them.
So now
because they don't want to deal.
counter to
What I'm
saying
saying as a question, and this is an open-ended question that both you and Katie can answer, is that to me, I'm so disconnected from them that I just want a good story at this point. I will meet up for a good story, and it doesn't affect me. Like, I'm not afraid that when I meet up with these people that I'm going to fall back into anything.
Right.
And I'm so not afraid of that I'll spend a few hours at a bar and get drunk with them, whatever, because I know that at no point I'm going to be like, I'm falling back in love with this girl. I'm going to make a new mistake. I know that.
I will let Katie answer.
But I want to hear the story. So to me, wouldn't it be and I don't know so much a stronger show of faith, but just can you see the logic in I want a good story? And if you're going to tell me one and you're not afraid of being judged because you know who I am, and you're going to tell me, cool, I'll listen. And I don't care because I'm not afraid that I'm going to fall back in with you. And we very well may never talk again. But you know what? If you got a fun story to tell me that I know about, like I know the beginnings of or something like that, then cool. Bonus, if you're in pain and I want you to be in pain.
Katie?
I believe you that you do not have any concern about falling back in with the person. I believe that you really go into that and you're like, I have no emotional connection here.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is I don't think you're being honest with yourself about what you were actually going after. You're calling it a good story. What I'm going to say is you love the drama of it. You fucking love the drama of it. And you are not, and in that way, you are still emotionally connected.
There's still some residual effect of the relationship.
If you were truly, like Teddy and I saying, not emotionally connected, then you would, after, like I have done, dating someone for almost 2 years, and he fucked up, and I went, cool, don't call me again, and did not talk to him again.
Right.
Still have not.
Right.
You know?
And I'll be fair. I haven't talked to most of the people that I'm talking about in these stories. I haven't talked to in fucking number of years.
I wouldn't care if he called with a good.
I'm not saying that.
story.
I'm not even saying that you would, but you saw him at a bar, whatever have you, and you said that you.
But I've been there.
Hold
though.
on, but you said specifically, Katie. Sorry, Teddy. Katie, you said specifically that he's apparently married now.
I think he's engaged.
You've been told.
Someone told me that.
All
That's
right.
true.
And you said, and I wonder if, like, she, blah, 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 if somebody, not him, just in general,
Was like, I'm going to tell you
somebody is like,
what she does and does not know.
Do you want to know what she does not know? Would you be like, I don't even want to know that? Or you'd be like, no, actually, that's...
I think actually the
You'd be
act of saying I
curious
don't even want to
just-
know that would be emotional.
All right, fine.
You know, so even saying, "Oh, I don't want to know," is like me being like, "I can't handle
Well,
that."
let me put it this way: if
so
somebody,
I think it would be like if you're going to tell me right this second, but I'm not going to go out of my way to hear
a
it.
friend of yours calls whose number is not in your cell phone, but you knew in the past, and
Yeah.
leaves a voicemail that's like, "Oh my God, I ran into John
So-and-so, yeah.
Smith, part 3,
Oh, it's
and
like he's 1,000 years old.
and was
I
like
saw Methuselah
part
at the club last night.
348, whatever. It was like I ran into so and so. And I ran into so and so's fiance.
Yeah, no, I know where you're going with this.
Right,
And they leave a message. Do I
and
call
I would
them
be
back?
yeah. Would you call them back for that story? Or would you say I'm going to pretend that's a fucking wrong number and not even bother?
Pretending it's a wrong number is an investment of its own.
What I'm saying
So
is,
I'd call them
do you
back.
call them back to get the story?
Yeah,
You just
I
call them
guess
back to
so.
say hi. You call back to get the story. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that, like, in my head, there's no danger. There's no danger to my physical or emotional
Yeah, I don't
self.
know. How do you call them back?
I'll
And
take this
so
one.
that's that.
Listen,
Please, by all
if
means.
it's a friend that I let's say there's two ways to play. Let's say it's a friend that is a good friend of mine, but I haven't spoken to in a while, and they're calling me with this news. Okay, let's say so and so call. I haven't chatted with them in a while. I've been meaning to call them anyway.
Yep.
I would call them back.
I feel like I'm getting more fucking booty chatter than I
No,
can
hold
fucking
on,
handle.
hold
But all
on.
right, go ahead.
There's no booty chat
Go
right
ahead.
here, son.
I'm-
Because what I would say, and they'd be like, "Oh my
Liable.
God, did you hear? Like, did you hear? Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Listen, you know you care about this more than I do, right?" That's how I would lead off the conversation. I would want them to know, like, you know, this is not a thing that I care about. Like, I called you back because I wanted to talk to you, but like, no, I do not care.
Let's say it's somebody you don't care to talk to.
I'm not
not
gonna
like
call
they're
them back.
angry.
I'm not
just
gonna call
saying,
them back, bro.
You're not angry at them.
No,
You're
Teddy's
just like,
not going
oh,
to call
I
him
don't
back.
care.
That's such an easy question.
Again,
Look at this
like,
man.
Look, son, again, son. If I get home and you're like, "Oh my God,"
You know what it is? You
I
know what
found
it
out
is?
that Yolanda was at the club.
Here's
whatever,
what-
I was
here's
like,
Did
here's
you
what-
date a girl named Yolanda? Tell me you did.
I
Here's
never
what
did.
bothers
Did you know a song that went, "Ooh, Yolanda, you look so fine"?
Yeah, I've heard that song before.
Thank you. My
Heard
friend
that
had
song
a
before.
mom named Yolanda. He never heard that.
Here's,
fucking
I guess,
song.
what bothers me about this conversation is just that I feel like there is a feeling, and feel free to listen back later. There is a feeling that I get in the way that you guys are talking, where it's like, oh, we've evolved emotionally.
Oh, like
and
we're
you
above
haven't.
that and you're not.
Right. And that's where I'm like, I think we're just going at it by a different tact. Is like, I'm not, I'm curious and I'm not concerned emotionally because I know nothing's going to happen.
I think this is the thing that I
What bothers me is the judgment and the we're above you. That's what bothers me. That's why I'm asking you these questions, because I'm like, I'm waiting for the answer
less
you're
of
pulling
like,
us.
It's less about we're above you or anything, and I feel like it's more about
you
like you're saying.
specifically will do that.
No, but it's.
I
I
don't
feel like
know.
it's about the difference in definitions that we have and
no,
how
it's
we
the
approach
difference
situations.
in our personality.
No. Because when you say disconnect from someone, and then you describe your process of interacting with someone that you're disconnected with, I can't relate to that definition, because if someone is disconnected from my life, they can send all the fucking incoming messages they want to. I
Sure.
gives no fucks. I'm never going to talk to you again realistically. It will take some sort of third-party intervention to get me to then go back and give consideration to the things that you have put forward after your previous failures that got you excommunicated from my life. That's what disconnected means to me.
Right,
So when
okay.
if someone is still in my life to the point that I'm gonna take phone calls and shit from them, they're not disconnected. That's my difference with you.
Okay.
And it's not about a judgment call at all, so much as I feel like we have different parameters that we're interacting with.
Okay.
If I use the term disconnected to describe someone, I am talking about someone who has no ability to influence, access, or control my life in any state.
Estranged.
Estranged, perfectly.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I want to speak
That's
to that because
fair.
I know
That's fair.
it does actually seem like we're teaming up on you and that we're like, oh, we're up here.
Not so much
But
teaming
here's
up,
what I
but
want to
let's
say.
go with it.
No, but I want to. What
Go
I
ahead.
want to say is
No,
I
go
don't
ahead.
feel like it's an involvement because we've made an emotional choice too. So it's not like it's a better emotional choice. We're still being emotional about it. Like we've both decided. Like we decide these people have to be on this
Sure,
side of
sure.
a fence, and that's an emotional choice as much as yours is. So I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. I would just say that there is definitely like in both situations, there's definitely an element of. There's an element of like how much drama you will tolerate, and while you are curious about the drama,
Sure.
I am dismissive.
I
of it.
think, and here's the better way to defer it. Like when I feel like instead of disconnect,
Well, that was a pretty good way, but
fine.
there you go. Got to say better.
I'm not
Yeah,
This
thanks,
guy.
jerk.
sorry.
Yeah,
fine.
Jesus.
I feel like
I just
I
went-
really
I said
tried to fucking lay it down.
I went to say term in terms of disconnect.
Sorry.
I wasn't talking
It's okay.
about her
Sorry,
analysis.
sorry.
You trying to be
I'm
divisive.
just fucking with you, man.
I was saying when you talk about disconnecting things like that, I feel like in like the story, it's about vulnerability. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to make myself vulnerable. There's no story in
Okay.
the world
All right.
that I'm willing to make myself vulnerable for.
Okay, I
And
see.
I feel like that's the difference in
Okay,
perspective.
then
Whereas Mitch
then,
has asserted he is not vulnerable.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying is that to me, I can totally understand that, but my curiosity is not a vulnerability. It would be a vulnerability if I actively sought that out, but if it comes to me, me, there's no vulnerability because I guess in a weird kind of way, like I think of life as like a weird fucking movie. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what if I ever want to write a movie about fucked up people? I can insert this scene. And, you know, you've been with me on almost 100 podcasts now, which is several hundred hours, wherein I go, you know, it's interesting we talk about this subject because I knew a person once that blankety, 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 blank.
Right.
I fucking live for those kinds of things because it's an interesting case study. And so, in that sense, okay, I'll grant you, if that's the way you're thinking, that's not where I'm going.
Because from
It isn't-
and
it
from
isn't
my
in that.
perspective, it's less of like there's less of that cinematic larger scope quality and viewing life so much as it's the more survival oriented focus of
Right.
listen, I survived.
That's where you and I have always had that disconnect.
I survived your bullshit.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
You are a dysfunctional element.
Sure.
All right. Why would I open myself up to your dysfunction in any way, shape, or form? It's
Sure,
like surviving a virus
Sure.
and then willingly giving yourself that virus again.
Sure.
There's no, you know what I'm saying? Like if I survived tuberculosis
Right.
and I'm healthy and someone's like, hey, you want a little taste of tuberculosis? I would slap the shit out of them.
Right.
For disrespecting
To
me.
that exact same analogy, you can't get the exact same strain of a virus twice. And I'm not saying that's, but I'm just.
But that actually proves my point even better because that person is coming back to you and they've evolved.
I know.
So that's why I don't want to take any chances.
No, I get it. But it's a good analogy. It's a really good analogy. I'm not discounting you.
And
now.
you dissed
It's
me
great.
when I
No,
started
no.
off in the first
No,
place.
I'm not discounting your analogy. It's a great analogy. What I'm saying is that if I'm sick and then I make out with someone who then gets sick, like the next day, let's just suppose we're living together or whatever. I'm sick. I make out with somebody that I'm sick with, and then they've got a cold. I'm not worried about catching that cold because I'm like, well, I fucking gave it to them.
You're inoculating.
I'm good, right? So to me, in regards to that virus, I guess my thing is that I go, well, I'm not worried about getting that virus because I know where it came from or whatever.
Only one of us will survive the black
I'm
plague.
not. Look, yeah. Well, I'll
I was
grant
worried
you.
you guys
But
have been
what
doing
I'm-
this sausage fest, but really you have Mitch here, and he is perfectly playing. I mean, women love a fucking story. They love to gossip.
Yeah, thank you. No, I do. I absolutely do. But that's also, I guess that's my thing, is that to me, I'm not worried about catching anything. And so I'm like, oh, I'll hear out a story. Now, it would be, it's definitely a vulnerable state to seek them out and be like, so what happened?
Well, in
Like,
terms of
that's a
judgment, aren't you
fucking-
fucking sitting there the whole time, all holier than thou, like looking down on that person who comes back to you? to be like.
Oh yeah, but this is between friends' judgment.
I'm just
yeah,
saying, like,
Oh yeah.
You'll see how casual. Like, yeah, but that's just. I mean,
No.
come on,
Well,
that's just-
I will absolutely.
That's your run-of-the-mill.
I'm not even pretending.
sitting up on my fucking
I'm
throne
not-
kind of thing.
I'm not about, but it's also sitting up on your throne to pretend that you're not judging, and I'm not pretending I'm like holier than thou. I do not judge. I'm not even saying that. I'm absolutely, I'm judging that person. What I'm saying is that I felt judgment in this room, in my own house, of like where it was like, well, we've moved on from that, and that's where I take issue because I don't like that feeling where it's like, look, I'm not like
You're not
clinging.
saying you're more vulnerable than we are. You're putting us all in an
I'm
even.
not. Yeah,
You're talking
we're
about
on the-
purely.
I literally.
All right,
you
we've
have
all
a
argued
different,
the same point now.
We're different. We just take a different tactic.
Got it.
That's all I was trying to
Done.
say. We take a different tactic. As long as we're on that page, cool.
we
take a different tactic. I just don't want it to come off like I don't want to feel like you're going like, well, you fucking.
No,
like
I mean, and
obsessed
again,
with
it's
these
like
guys.
I explained. It's
Because again, I haven't talked to most of these. You know, my last ex, I haven't talked to her. We talked once. I don't even know how many months after we broke up. When she was like, "Oh, you still have some things that I left at the apartment," and I was like, "Fine," and I just left them on the curb around the time she was going to show up. And I was like, there you go. You know, I was like, I'll just drop them at the curb because I didn't even, I was like, you know what I mean? The same kind of thing. But, you know, and the only reason I know anything at all about her life is that there was a guy that I saw at clubs a lot of times that saw me with her who later ended up sort of working with her, but kind of in a, not really working with her, but sort of working with her company. So he'd see her occasionally. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So he conflated any guy she was with me. So when he'll ask me things about what I'm doing in my life, and he's like, I thought you moved away. I'm like, oh, I guess she moved away. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
Oh, I thought you got married and moved to so-and-so. I'm like, oh, I guess you got married and moved to so-and-so.
Right.
That's the only reason I know anything at all about her life. But and I don't even know if that's, he could very well be conflating me with somebody else.
It is really hard to cut people off in the Facebook age.
Right.
Because
but, I mean,
no
we
matter
weren't-
how many people you
thankfully-
unfriend.
There's still somebody
Thankfully,
that can
her
get
and I were never like, we were never we were MySpace friends, but we never became Facebook friends because that
Oh,
whole
so this is
thing.
some old school shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's also the
Back in the
switch,
old
the
tin can
transition
days.
from MySpace to Facebook happened while we were together. So it was like we didn't feel any desire to get on Facebook and
Friend each
connect
other
with our
immediately.
friends or friend each other or anything else like that. So it was just like whatever, that's a thing that's happening.
Right.
So yeah, and if she hit me up and she was like, yeah, I was married for a little while and I got divorced, I would listen to the story. I don't know that I'd necessarily go out for a drink with her because whatever, but maybe. But there's not really much that like there'd be to talk about. But if she's just like, oh, I got married and I got divorced, I'd be like, hey. Like, because I like people I don't like being in pain. Yes,
A little bit of karma.
yeah, exactly. But it's not. But I don't. If she lives the rest of her life happy with whoever she ended up with, cool by me. Whatevs.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't affect me, and to some degree that makes me feel better because I'm like, oh well, then no part of me needs to feel like, oh, that was the one that got away. You know what I'm saying? And I've never had that thought, but if I hit 40 some odd years old and I'm like, she was the one that got away, then I can curb that off. Like, no, she's like really happy with this person, and that's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that's the only thing I would say is that I think because I'm actually, I guess, have had to make a lot of those kind of decisions to estrange, and I am actually estranged from my family. So when I hear people use those kind of words to describe relationships, I do have really hard lines in my head because I've had to draw them. So if I am making the decision to remove certain access from my life to you as a person, like that's, I mean, like I don't.
You put thought into that,
right?
and
Like
that's,
it's like security clearances almost. Whereas like I'm not gonna dole that shit out real casually. Do you know what I mean? I would much rather. I'm really
well, especially since it's unmoving for you. Like
Right.
there are people who go, he is out of my life, and then like 6 months later, status of security
Right.
clearance. You know what I mean? So
Right,
it's not
right.
like that for you. So it's obvious that is, but that also, like, you know, just to go back to that, that's a choice you've made, not based on feeling that you're better than that, but that's the best thing for you.
Right. Yeah.
And so
Everyone's
And
got
that's what I'm
necessary
saying. Everybody's
adaptations,
got
yeah.
their, like, this is what works for me, this is what doesn't, whatever. That's all I'm saying.
So I'm glad we've got clarification on the terms that
We're
everyone
good.
can move forward with.
We went a little over.
I feel
but
like we
it's
made a
Love is a
breakthrough
battlefield.
here for you
Love is a
guys.
battlefield. That's good.
Was it? Did you feel a battlefield going on?
I said love is a battlefield.
Oh,
I just
right.
feel like we had a
That's
breakthrough
a fucking.
for
I
you
am
guys,
addicted
though.
to that song. It's a great
And
song.
I like to think I had a part in it.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm good.
No, it was a good time. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to talk about Katy Page's amazing comedy stylings and such, and so on and so forth, or anything
It would take us
comedy-related.
4.5 seconds.
All right,
You just did it.
all right. Well, what do you want to plug? Where can people see you?
You can see my web series on YouTube /Pashton Future, PASHOTON Future.com. So that's my web series is called Don't Try
By
This
the way,
at
it's
Home.
not a backslash. I just want to.
What is it? A forward slash?
It's always a forward slash.
Oh shit!
What's it
Try
called
again.
again?
This
It's
is a
forward
backslash. This is a forward. Backslash
called-
goes to the left. Forward slash goes to the right. It's always a forward slash.
It's called Don't Try This at Home. There are
Okay.
7 episodes up on YouTube right now
And,
at
YouTube.com/Pashton
Future.
Are you on
PAS
the Facebooks or the Twitters?
Future.
I'm on the Facebook, but I don't have.
You know the comedy.
Yeah, plug the
No,
Twitter.
I'm
Plug
not
the Twitter.
doing. I don't even tweet. I'm so
Oh, man, Mitch is
terrible.
gonna get on you.
I know I'm terrible,
Okay. So that's where they should probably find you.
but they should
I
find.
was trying to find you
my
on
web
Facebook.
series.
It was really impossible. Teddy
I
had
know
to
because of
link
my name. I know everyone has it, and then I guess I have some weird privacy shit up. So don't look
Yeah,
for me
yeah.
there. Look for me on the YouTube page, and we'll.
Don't, please don't search for me.
Do not look for me. Do not seek me
No, you
out.
can. It'll just take forever. I don't know how to change it, and I'm
No,
not
I
sure
get
I
it.
care
You,
to.
and when I added you as a friend, you messaged me to say, "Oh, I'm sorry. There was like 5 Arab dudes that tried to add me."
Indian.
Sorry.
The
Did you say
Indian guys find me.
I thought you said Arab. My bad.
No, it's Indian.
Is that
and
me and my racism?
I put
popping
like
out?
I said no to his friend request because I had like.
And I literally didn't know until she messaged me. I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry."
Well, because then
and
I
was
sent
like,
him
"Oh,
another
okay."
one.
Yeah,
I
no,
sent
you
him
did.
another one, and I thought,
saw
well,
that-
that's gonna be
I was
weird
like,
for him.
I was like, a Katy Page got a friend. I did, but it came through at the same time as the message.
That's
So I was
amazing.
like, didn't I add her?
Yeah. Well, that's
So,
I didn't want
yeah,
you to think, oh, well, I tried to, bitch. And
No,
you
no,
said
no. Literally, what it came down to was I was like, I immediately was like, oh shit, that I messaged the wrong one, and then she was like, who's this guy? And like, I'll message him like, oh, I'm so sorry.
That's hilarious.
And then I was like, should I hit up Teddy? And then I was like, no, that's the same girl he sent me the link to.
Oh,
So it was
man,
okay.
that was too good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so check out our web series. We won some awards at LA Web Fest for
Hey.
Outstanding
Kudos on that.
Actor and
All right.
Outstanding Actress.
All right.
Mazel
we have a
tov.
pilot
Ratzos. Yeah.
in the making.
By the way, I just want to say real quick.
We'll put a link to it on this
I
page
got a
as well,
message on Facebook, alert on my phone, where somebody was like, "You didn't turn on the chat tonight. Was that on purpose?" And I was like, "Dude, I was 20 minutes late in turning on the chat. I'm really sorry that I forgot." Because it's been a few weeks since I've turned it on, but I was like, oh, people are probably going to want to talk about the things we're talking about. So I opened it like 20 minutes in. It's been open the entire time. And I'm like, I don't know. It's weird because it's like, oh, I see.
Hey, good for paying attention, though.
It's
for that
funny
guy.
that it's funny
Way
that
to
like,
give some fan feedback.
It's
Look,
funny
they're paying
the-
attention. That's all.
I've
that
never
matters.
we
seen
need
this name
Rivopoulos.
before.
We
actually,
need
by the way.
Rivopoulos to keep us on our toes.
But it's hilarious.
Thank
I don't
you.
know. So I just wanted to
Diligent
clarify:
fan.
there was no conspiracy. There's no like, no, you do not have a voice.
That was
in
my
this.
my rider contract.
Yeah, was it?
I can't
Okay.
turn on the
Katie
fucking
Page
chat.
was like, for the
She was
first
like,
20
nothing's
minutes,
off limits to talk about, but I don't want random chatters. So
No.
turn that off.
Only in.
So, I'm sorry, Katie. Do you have any shows coming up that people live shows? Anything?
Not at the moment. I'm doing some improv and some sketch, but I don't really. That's sort of random.
Okay.
So no, I'm plugging just the web series.
Okay.
That's our
Cool.
jam right now.
And yeah, it's your jam, and you got awards, so kudos on that.
yeah, and we're
Good
feeling
shit.
really good about it. So
Tedrick.
Famosa Cafe this Saturday night, 8 p.m. Bitches, come on out and be hosting.
All right.
Telling some jokes. Mitch, what you got?
I'm gonna try to get on that Formosa gig on Saturday. And that's pretty much it. Because I've been very lazy in the new year.
Wow.
So
I hope to see you there.
Yeah.
That'll be a good
We'll see what
time.
happens.
you're a slow
Cool.
start.
Good night, bitches.
Thanks for listening to Straight Riffin'. You can catch all past and future episodes of Straight Riffin' on the official website.